Right, hopefully this will all sort itself out. Oh, looks like we're in. Hello, evening all. The Ashby here, Motocross and Speedway Memories. Here we go, got a comment. Hi Mick, how's it going, buddy? Hope you're all right. Hope you're all good, people. Been away for a while, but we're going for the second evening on the trot, and I'm back on again tomorrow night as well with another Speedway one, Doug Wire. That'll be at 7 PM UK time tomorrow. Any of you guys know about our Motocross and Speedway Memories Reunion 3? Looking forward to that at the end of April at Whiteway, Barton and Devon. I've got a couple of cool videos to show the Motocross guys out there. Here we go.
Hey, Roger Warren here, stepped out from behind the microphone to tell you about a big date coming up, 29th and 30th of April, Whiteway, Barton, the Speedway and Motocross Memories Reunion 3. It's going to be a mega weekend with more stars than you can shake a stick at. And there's going to be fun, nostalgia, and of course, even more fun. Make sure you get yourself booked in nice and early with Lee Ashby. Do it early, get yourself down there. Great weekend, 29th, 30th of April, Whiteway, Barton.
Legend Roger, thank you very much. This man you'll recognise as well.
Hi guys, this is Mervyn Ansty. We're at Loretta Lynn's qualifier for some of our youngsters, and we're enjoying our time. It's a bit of a wet one today, but you've got a super adventure race coming up at the Legends, running in April. Make sure you get yourself booked in. It's going to be a great time there, and again, look forward to seeing you all soon.
Still grateful for that, Merv, even if he did forget the lines. But I'll take anything from these heroes, so it's really cool.
Hi there. I hope you haven't forgotten, it's the Motocross and Speedway Memories Reunion 3. We're going to be having loads of fun down at Whiteway, Barton on the 29th and 30th of April. We'll have a wobble around, a lot of us old guys, and then you can get out there, show us what it's all about. You need to get your entries in quick. They're starting to run out of space. So get in touch with Lee Ashby, get your entry in, come down and we'll all have some fun. And if you need your suspension looked at, come and have a chat. See ya.
Legendary Perry Lease there. He'll be there for the reunion as well. Also, just got a nice little video here from 4 times British champion Paul Cooper with Dean Hoffman, who's coaching over in South Africa. So here we go.
Hey guys, Paul Cooper here. I'm just in Cape Town at the moment, South Africa, doing some training and coaching with Dean Hoffman Racing. He's joining me here just to remind you guys about the Motocross Memories and Speedway Memories that the Ashby is running at Whiteway, Barton. Get yourselves booked in. It's the 29th and 30th of April. It's going to be a great event. I was at the one at Oxford in Cullen last year. It was amazing. So don't miss the opportunity to get booked in. It's going to be fully booked very soon.
Legend. It was awesome. Paul Cooper come and watch Reunion 2, and I interviewed him in the commentary booth. It was quite a cool thing for myself. Here we got Mr. Stephen Clark.
Hey guys, Stephen Clark here, Store 114 Honda. Just want to remind you all of the MX and Speedway Memories Reunion 3 race coming up, 29th and 30th of April at Whiteway, Barton. You got to contact Lee Ashby to get yourself booked in. Entries are running low. It's going to be a wicked event. Should be down there myself. Come and have a chat.
Thank you, Stephen. What a legend. You guys all know this man, a British motocross legend, and also factory HRC team boss, Roger Harvey.
Hi guys, just wanted to give a shout out to the upcoming Motocross and Speedway Memories Reunion number 3, the third one it is. It's on the 29th and 30th of April down at Whiteway, Barton in sunny Devon. Hopefully it'll be sunny by that time. Sounds like it's going to be a right good event. A lot of fun, by the sound of things anyway. Probably I'm a bit too old to be having that much fun, but there you go. What you need to do, you need to get yourselves booked in, because I believe it's filling up fast, and booking in is done through the legend that is Lee Ashby. So get yourself down, have a load of fun, stay safe, and remember, we all started playing on motorbikes because it was good fun, and it still is. All the best, everybody. Bye.
Well, man, Roger, until he said legend, then that was a bit awkward. And I've got a couple of really cool Speedway ones that just come in. A lot of you might have seen the Speedway Grand Prix. Former world long champion, multi-British Speedway champion, and he does all the coverage on the TV now for the Speedway Grand Prix, Mr. Calvin Tatum. He still races even now in the motocross a little bit and does all the UK Evo, things like that.
Yeah, hi everyone. Just wanted to catch up. Lee Ashby, obviously, with his big weekend on the 29th and 30th of April at Whiteway Barton, a Speedway and Motocross festival over the weekend. I'm sure it's going to be an awful lot of fun. And if the weather behaves, of course, it'll be extra special. Lots of racing, lots of people to catch up with. I'm sure the social scene will be red hot as well. So please get yourself down there. Lee Ashby's put a huge amount of effort into this, so he'll be delighted to see a good turnout. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun and catching up with a lot of old friends. So 29th and the 30th of April down at Whiteway Barton. Enjoy yourselves.
Beautiful from Calv. Much appreciated for him. This was a super cool one as well. Definitely a super idol of mine in Speedway. Got 21 world titles to his name. He was called the Professor. He was absolutely amazing in the 80s and 90s. Hans Nielsen, amazing. Got to meet him last year in when Oxford reopened their Speedway there, and got a picture with him. But yeah, this was super cool. Did a live interview with him, which was amazing, and he did this for me.
Hi everyone, just a little message from Lee Ashby. He's got his 3rd Speedway and Motocross reunion on 29th and 30th of April. He says it's going to be really good, so try and be there.
Awesome. How cool is that? Must admit I got a little bit chuffed with that when I woke up this morning. Hey, Jim, how's it going, buddy? See, 100% it is. Evening, Martin. We're all good. Look, you've got your profile up there. Beautiful. And also, I don't know if any of you guys, any of you motocross fans out there, but this was super cool as well. I'll just show you now. Where is it gone? There we go. Look, that was, you know, the man, Ricky Johnson. Did a live interview with him. Got to meet him at Fox Hill Vets last year. Was incredible. Got a picture with him and everything. You can see there, look, that he posted up on his Instagram for me the other day about the meeting. Like, how cool is that? And then to top that off as well, Mr. Jeff Stanton posted on Instagram as well. So super chuffed. Can imagine how buzzy that was. Amazing. I'll show you some pictures of Whiteway Barton track, the latest updates from Russell Watts after the interview. But we don't want to keep Russ hanging on too much in the background. Beautiful, Dean. Hope you're good, buddy. Got home ready for this one. Love that. Sorry, RJ, I'm whining and dining the wife tonight, so I have to turn this phone off, but please remember what happens in Vegas. Wink. Who is that? Not sure who that is. I'll try and get my missus to post the link in the comments that you can click on to so you can get your profile on there like that. So basically, you either have to come out of this video, quickly press on the link that's in the post before you go in the video. It's so annoying to do, I know. But it's basically just about the privacy stuff so you can see your profile. But let's send the link to my man. And then we'll play a little promo video and get him in and start the fun, as it were. Right. Right. Send that to Russ. Super cool as well to have. We'll talk about that in a minute anyway. But when we got Russ to come to the Reunion 2 last year in the right, I've sent that to Russ. Yeah, you come to the Reunion 2 at was that Wheeler, was it? There you go. My missus has put the link. If you click on that, Bri, if you're listening, then it'll be able to show your profile hopefully on the screen. It's basically to Brian Wheeler stuffing his face as usual. Dad's gutted to be missing this interview on flight back to Spain. Hopefully it'll be available to watch back. Yes, Harry, this will be all recorded. and I'll share it out there tomorrow all on the social medias and everything. So yeah, you can always get back on any of these interviews. There's quite a lot online now. Oh, here's me mum. She's biased. Great seeing you 2 nights running. Thanks, mum. So hopefully Russ will click on that and get into this interview. Hopefully he'll come in all right and it'll all be good. Just double checking to make sure he doesn't message me or anything and have an issue. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just on. Oh, I can see something's happening at the bottom of my screen. I'm just messaging. I can see you, buddy. I can see you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'll get you on in a second then, Russ. Right, I can see the man is in. So let me get the video going. Right, here we go. Let's get off my pictures. I'm on the wrong bit. Here we go then.
Wait, you want some more?
Beautiful. Right, let's see if it works then. Russ, can you hear me?
Let's see if it works then.
Oh, you've got a bit of an echo.
Russ.
Oh, is it?
Let's see if it works then.
Oh, yeah. Russ, I'll take you out a minute and then come back in on that link again and we'll see if it corrects itself. Right, let me kick Russ out as much as that feels awful. I'm not sure who that is, but they've not registered. Nor have you, whoever that is, doing a waving hand. Yes, looking forward to Doug Wire tomorrow. Just going to speak to my man Winslet. Hello.
Turn your phone off and stop the echo.
What's that?
Turn your phone off and stop the echo.
I ain't got any volume on my phone or anything. Oh, maybe it's the volume's on as well, maybe. Oh, right, I did take that off as well. Right, thank you, Adam. Thank you. Thanks, mate. Right, hopefully. Just double checking to make sure I didn't have the link on, but I haven't. Got rid of it. Yes. Thanks, man. Hopefully he'll get Russ back on. Just told him to click on it again. Hopefully it just corrects itself. I haven't got. I did. I go on my phone on it to put features on and things like that, but I haven't got it on. But I just noticed I did have my volume on. I don't know if that affects it. I've got it on silent, but I always have my phone on for my questions in front of me. So hopefully that doesn't affect it. I've definitely come off of that. Definitely come off of that. So hopefully we can get him back on in a second. Just making sure we got me photos and all that there. Yeah, I can see all my photos. Lovely, lovely job. That's a question I've got off of Martin Bateson there. Talk about Russ and training days. Who's this guy, Marty? I'll have to show Russ that. Got one of the camel bibs, look. Beautiful. I've got the Jorgen Nielsen one, look, from the Paris Supercross in 1987. How cool is that? You might remember Jorgen Nielsen. He came second in the 500cc World Championship behind, who was that at the time? Was it Smets? Or was it? Yeah, I think it was Smets. Might be wrong. You know, he should have won that year. I remember him in front in another race and he lost all the points in that. And I think it was only a few points he lost. So bit of a bummer, but yeah, that was cool. Did an interview with Jorgen Nielsen, and he sent Marty some stuff, Martin Neary, and he also sent me some cards and stuff that was signed of him, and also that is pretty cool, isn't it? How cool is that? 1987 Paris Supercross. So that's pretty cool, and you can probably see behind me here, I did an interview with Brian Jorgensen, and that's his Fox kit that he won the British Championship with, that he signed and sent to me. And he also sent me some other kit as well from the Grand Prix days. I think that's an AXO kit when he was on the Honda in the big class. Got some bottoms and top that was really cool as well. He wrote my name on it and stuff. It was nice. And you can see as well, this is the shirt I'm doing the competition for at the moment. Look, Jamie Dobbs 2001. You can even see a few little tiny stains on here, look, where it was race worn from his 2001 season that he won on the factory KTM 125 world champion. Still our last British champion. Got it signed there, look. Say, look, the Grand Prix badge and all that was on there, look. You can see a few little flicks of mud on down here still. But yeah, I've got a competition on that. Only doing 60 numbers as well. And I think I've done about 30, so I've only got half the numbers left. Then we'll do a live draw, get that off in the post to someone. But yeah, still our last world champion. Who would have thought that, at the time? 2001. Oh, over 20 odd years ago already. Where's the time going, eh? Right, how's Russ getting on? Let me check. All right, I'm just asking him now how he's getting on. Oh, I can see it coming out. I was just messaging him out. I can see it come up. Hopefully it's going to work. Hopefully no echo.
How are we doing?
All good, Russ?
I think so, mate.
That sounds all good now, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's better.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because that was a bit off-putting, wasn't it? That was
a bit awkward.
It was.
You were asking me the same question twice, which at my age isn't a problem, but I could hear it the first time.
Don't like the sound of your own voice anyway, and I didn't like listening to that back.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Right, good to see you, Russ. How are you?
Marvellous, mate. Been at work all day. Same old story. Yeah. Trying to make ends meet. But no, we're all good, thank you.
So what have you been up to then since the sort of the pro racing days type of thing? What have you been doing in that time?
I went back to my real job. Fed up with throwing myself down the track. Had a few knocks and bumps. Decided we weren't going to be world champion, and got my head down at work. I work in a school. Been there for many years, and just went about my normal routine. Leave home every day, come home in the dark. Pretty much didn't stay like that for long because I realised we had to move forward. But yeah, we've got an opportunity there. That's a picture of me that you found. I did a course in advanced sports nutrition, funded by the school. We're on a learning journey. We all are, every single one of us. So yeah, that was trying to better myself. So if you know any fat bastards that need some advice, mate, I'm willing to help.
You're looking at one now, Russ.
It's not for me to say. One thing. So are we live now? Are we in front of everybody?
Yeah, okay. We're live.
That's great. So I need to clear one very important fact up, which I'm going to present to you here. Okay. First of all, legend. I'm not. Well, and we are. So just I want to clear that up to everybody. I don't consider myself to be a legend. I consider myself to be very fortunate. I'm at a very, very, very lucky lad. My dad was involved in the racing many moons ago. We were rubbish. We went from rubbish to ordinary to junior to expert, and the journey has been. I've been very, very fortunate. But some very interesting people, some fantastic people, and I had some opportunities to go around the world and ride motorcycles. So yeah, I don't consider myself to be a legend. Eric Gabours was a legend. Joe Bay was a legend. Obviously, DT is still a legend. I don't consider myself to be a legend. So,
well, you are to us normal folks. So,
Well, I'm still put trousers on one leg at a time, mate, so I'm pretty normal. And as for, there was a comment earlier on from Wheeler, something about what stays in Vegas, goes on in Vegas.
Here we go.
Yeah, I've no idea what he's talking about. I've never been to Vegas with Wheeler. I did, however, share a journey back from Sweden, which is probably what he's referring to, and that will not be mentioned. So,
Is that a private one later, is it, Russ?
yeah, you don't want to know it, mate. It wasn't pleasant. So,
yeah, it's like that, is it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
We also got Tiago from Portugal. He goes, highly, let's learn something. So he's looking forward to listening to this.
Where's he from? Portugal?
Yeah.
Well, what does he want to know about?
Spain or Portugal? It's one of
Tell
them.
him we eat lots of sardines, so it's all good.
Jim Brookman, hi Lee. We're going to have fun with RJ this evening, mate. He's a genuine and good guy.
Yeah.
There's a rumour going around.
Yeah, I paid Jim earlier on Saturday. I saw Jim. He's looking well. He's not been very well. So, Jim, I hope you're getting better. I know you told me you had pneumonia, which was awful. But, yeah, Jim likes his bikes. I've known Jim for many, many years. When I was a kid at the age of like 8 or 10 years old, and first got into scrambling, or my Honda C50 up at the Pit Stop Youth Club at Lyne, which I'm now part of running. Jim was a scrambler up there then. I can't remember what he was riding at the time, some sort of CZ or some contraption, long before his PEH days. But yeah, Jim, smashing bloke, Jim. Yeah, he loves his sport. We all love our sport. That's why I'm sitting here. We love it.
Yeah, massive. Hopefully you're all well, Jim. Anyway, I do speak to Jim now and then, and I hope you're all good.
Yeah,
Jim.
he's vintage stuff. Jim is bordering on being a legend. So yeah, well, I'll give him the benefit of doubt on that one. Yeah, he's actually about 90 years old, and he looks about 40.
Got Harry Leverett here. He's put, Dad's gutted to be missing this interview on a flight back to Spain, but hopefully it's available to watch back, which it will be. It's all recorded, so you can.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, well, Mel, his dad, he was spanned for me for a couple of years. We did some Grand Prix. Mel and I had a journey all the way down to Austria, the very, very first year, Sittendorf to the Grand Prix, got an entry, and we set off at I think on the Tuesday with a promise of visiting the factory. I was riding a 620 for the first year, a 624 stroke, which is a bit of a dinosaur. And we were met with open arms at the Austrian factory was a mild understatement. They pretty much said, "Oh God, what do you want?" And it was quite an interesting one. We got the bike out the truck, and this guy was walking past one of the guys from R&D, and he said, "You racing the Grand Prix?" I said, "I am, yes. I'm over from England to qualify on Saturday." And he says, and he just points at the bike and he goes, "On that thing?" And just walked off. What's all that about? That was a bit of confidence for me. And Mel and each other. But it was a good trip. We did manage to get into the R&D. The guy looked at my engine for me and made some modifications. And we also, during the lunch hour, managed to nick several sets of wheels and forks, which it was a worthwhile trip. So
it was all good all round in the end. Then got some.
Yes, it did, and and that was quite good fun. And one I can tell you, Franz Solhammer, who was a guy who used to come over every year to the bike shows, very nice fella. He used to wear this Harrods suit that was about 3 sizes too big for him. It looked like he'd just got up. Very close friend, nice fella. Obviously, my lifelong sponsor, Gordon Jones from KTM UK. Him and Gordon hit it off. Franz would always come and sell his, I nearly said sell his ass, but do his stuff at the show. And I got to meet Franz. Well, so we're at the factory. We're out the back of the R&D, and there's a skip. There's a skip out the back, full up with KTM bits, from all bits and bits. And I thought, Jesus. So with that, I jump in the skip, and I'm raking through. There was exhaust brackets and panels, and Mel saying, look at this, Harry's dad, look at this. And just then through the door comes Franz Solhammer, and he says, "Oh, hi, Russ." And I said, "Oh, Franz, nice to see you." Shook his hand. He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just getting some bits." And he said, "Mate, this is rubbish. Get out. You need to get out the skip. You need to get out." I said, "I'm sorry." So, and then Gordon Jones phoned in the afternoon and said, "Oh, how's Franz?" I said, "Oh, by the way, has Russ made it to the factory?" And Franz said, "You need to give him a better deal." because he's in the skip getting his parts. So it was quite funny at the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and of course the joy of being a privateer with a bit of backing is you drive all the way to Austria. You don't qualify and you get stuff all. There was no gold pot of gold. If you didn't qualify, that was it. So we were running on red diesel on the way back, and it was a fruitless exercise. It really was. That was the joy of it. A lot of people think, oh, there's legend racing, motocross. Oh yeah, Grand Prix. No, it was bloody hard work, and it was the two of us, and it was a lot. I think it's 1,000 miles from Dover, that Sittendorf track. It's a bloody long way to end up with nothing, but all part of it apparently.
I've got quite a few people saying good evening. Mick here. Mick Nurse has put good evening. RJ, Harry, obviously, we've just seen a question from. Jim's just said that he's all, cheers, boys, I'm all good.
That's good. That's good.
Hello from Northern Ireland here as well.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, there's some boys over there I know. Crocstar is one of the most famous blokes who still says hello to me. He's a smashing fella.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've done an interview with Crocstar.
Brilliant.
Got Martin Neary here. We know he's the MX collector. He just put, hi Russ, saw one of your old competitors at Hawkstone Park on Sunday, the Welsh hard man Stuart Coyle. Did you see many old riders every now and then?
Well, yeah, Coyle was a tough old boy. He's still as good as gold, very dry, but yeah, good rider, hard boy. You didn't want to muck about with Coyle. But I bumped into Stuart recently. I had a bit of a Kawasaki reunion, which I managed to blag my way onto. It was great to catch up with them fellas. They all look the same as me. They're all old and haggard and limping around from the chair to the bog. And we've all smashed ourselves to bits. But yeah, Coyle, it was good to catch up with Coyle. Coyle's sound as a pound. He's a good fella. But him and most of his Welsh fellas, you don't want to be mucking about with them boys. Yeah.
I remember that with the schoolboys as well.
Yeah, we had a night after Namur. Coyle and I, when everyone had gone, Coyle and I had a night down in Namur town on the Sunday night, and that was quite an experience.
I bet.
It was a bit of Welsh hospitality.
I love it.
All good fun.
I love it. Martin also has got your. There we go. There he is.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's got your camel biblet.
Mate,
check it out.
Oh,
that's really very cool.
You never know when you're going to need to polish the car. So, yeah, top move.
he's got a beauty there. Those camel bibs are still, everyone loves them still. I'm lucky enough. I got one off of Jorgen Nielsen sent me this one I got in the background. You can probably see a bit.
Right.
From the Paris Supercross. So it's very cool.
Well, that's great. I feel really honoured that someone's taken the time to look after that. So thanks, mate. And of course, I'll have that back when we catch up. So thanks. I actually have Thorpe's #1 bib from 1989 in my workshop. He gave that to me because I was there at the finish line when he won his Grand Prix, won the World Championship, and he gave it to me as a present because he was a mate of mine and still is, and I treasure it. But of course, should the right amount of money come my way, I will part with it. So because just a nice trip to the Maldives or something like that. That'd be nice. That'll soften the blow. Thorpe's paying. So
yeah, you'll have Martin messaging you now that he knows you got that.
Yeah. Yes.
So actually, I've got a couple of pictures of you with the old bibs on as well.
Is that right?
I think I've actually got a picture of that with you on it. Here we go, the same one.
No way, mate. Right. So that M. Robert stuff was so good. It was great. Yeah. It's cool. Lovely colour.
Yes. Helmet and everything, isn't it?
Shame it's the fat bastard who's riding the bike, but there we go. It's all in the past.
Yeah, there's another one with a bib as well.
Yeah, that's at Namur, I think.
What do you think of that? So that was obviously a crazy old track. I never got to see it. Obviously, I've seen everything online. And love to go and visit. I think me and Adam Winslet are talking about maybe going and have a look over there. But what was your thoughts on it?
Of Namur? Well, yeah, of course, I went there as a spectator a couple of years before, and I really couldn't believe what I was watching. It was really, it was sort of like the circus had come to town. It was quite a spectacle. but yeah, within a year or two, I'd got a wild card at Hawkstone. There was a couple of riders injured, and I was taking their place. And lo and behold, it took me 3 goes, but I did actually qualify the third go at the Grand Prix. So yeah, to be honest, it was really, I was shitting myself because down out through the cafe, it's just how everyone talks about it. It was an amazing atmosphere, and you jumped up across the road, and it was the other thing. You'd be up in the pits, and then you'd hear news had come through that so and so's crashed in the woods, or so and so's down on the cafe road, and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was quite an interesting venue. It was certainly everyone that ever spoke about. The atmosphere was phenomenal. It was a real party atmosphere, and it sort of started from about the Friday lunchtime right through to Sunday night. The one year I rode a 355, which was basically a 300 with different stickers on, because it had to be over 350. We weren't cheating in any way, but we had to put a chain in the airbox to make it get through the weight limit and fill it to the brim with fuel. But it wasn't cheating because we were very undersized. I didn't qualify, but I was approached by the organisers, said that there was a national race on the Sunday morning, and would I like to be part of it as almost a sort of a bit of a conversation. And I said, yes, of course I would. But it started at like 7 in the morning or something ridiculous. But I was pumped. I hit the start, and I ended up finishing second overall. Or at least I got on the podium. It was a one-off. I finished second, and I got a great big trophy. I think it might be this puppy, which is strategically placed behind me earlier on this evening by my gorgeous wife. Yeah, I got that. I got some laurels and about 250 quid. So I'd actually worked it out that I was probably better off not qualifying. But yeah,
doing that.
I know it was a long, long time ago. I think it was 80. It was maybe 91 or something like that. And so you fast forward to my little daughter who has a sleepover. She's at home. All her friends are coming round, and she's probably 10 or 12 years old. And she says to me, "Dad, what's the most important trophy you've ever won?" You see, so I was looking, because I got my trophies on display because we like that here. There's no point putting them in the loft. And I said, well, this one here was when I finished second at the Belgian Grand Prix, but it was only the support race, but it was still second in Belgium. Okay, she says, great. Didn't think any more of it, like you do. Luckily, she has my sense of humour, or unluckily. All her friends turn up. Wow, look at all these trophies. Look at all these trophies. Oh, that's my dad. He used to race motorbikes. Oh, wow. She says, and you see this one? And with that, she picks it up. She says, see this one? This is when he was second in Belgium in the Grand Prix. It's support race.
That's brilliant.
Absolute classic, mate. I was there and it fell on the floor. She couldn't be completely dishonest. But yeah, that was the lure.
She's definitely a chip off the old block
there. Yeah. Good to see the chicken. Yeah, chickens, he's right here. Yeah.
Not sure who that is because I got a name, but it said good to see the chicken taking further place.
Yeah, chicken plays an important part. That's we were on holiday. My wife fell over in the crazy golf, broke her ankle. I told her to man up, but it couldn't be busted. Bought her some Nurofen and a chicken, and when she got back, it was broken. So I felt that good and spent 8 weeks in an air boot. But I told her to man up. It's the motocross are coming out of me, and she did really well. Yeah, so the chickens has a place on the trophy shelf.
I was going to say, so that's a memory now, is it? I got Martin said he'll get you to sign it, the bib at Whiteway Barton.
No problem. I've got my Sharpie ready. Tell him, look, here we are, right there.
Love that.
Brilliant.
Who else did I just see a question? That was Gary Stead, a Speedway rider. Gary Stead. He put, great to hear stories just like Speedway boys. We are all lucky that we've been able to have great stories and respect from all of us, from you, different disciplines, respect.
Fair play. Yeah.
Did you ever go at Speedway, Russ? Did you ever have a little tinkle at that?
Not serious, to be honest. Not serious. No, I respect those guys. Every man to his own. But I have been to a few Speedway meetings. It's nothing much round here now. Used to be obviously Wimbledon. Used to be Reading races.
Yes,
Swindon. Yeah, but no, those boys they're pretty scary to watch. I've always thought they'd be better off with another 2 laps, but that's entirely my own personal view.
Getting my glasses on as well, so I can see a bit of more HD on here.
I just feel like the Speedway race is just getting going and it's over. I just think, it's quite every man to his own. I've been to Speedway and the blokes are out on the bend and they're all looking at this and they're all kicking the floor and looking there. And oh no, there's a bump. There's a bump just going into the corner. Look at that. It's going to be a disaster. And they're like, just get on with it, mate. But they don't hang about. They don't hang about.
Who's that? That was got Ryan Bow here. But I can remember talking to Russ after Namur. We were stuck in a traffic jam. I think it was 90 or 91.
That would be right. Yeah.
I was only 15 at the time.
Good God. Yeah. I wish I was. Yeah.
What's Dean Harris said? I remember doing a few British support rounds with Russ, with a very good friend of mine, an underrated rider named Paul Luscombe.
Luscombe, yeah, I know Paul Luscombe. He's a hard old boy and all. He's from down the Sidcup Club. Yeah, I think it was last seen hanging off the outside of the cross-channel ferry by his mates dangling off the handrail just for a bit of a laugh. They were those type of boys. Those boys were they were entertaining everyone. Luscombe and all that lot at Namur in the beer tent there. They were something else. I don't quite know how to describe it, but they were good entertainment.
Martin's just put, talking of hard men, I will never forget your brave ride, battling through the pain, riding the 1987 Western Beach race with a broken hand.
Yeah.
Not many remember this amazing effort. At which part did you clout the chestnut fence? Yeah. The pain must have been horrendous. P.S. Great ride to finish second. All right.
That's right. That's worryingly correct. I did. Unfortunately, Willie Simpson beat me, but somebody dobbed him in for cutting the course, as we'd probably all done, and he got seen and I didn't. So I ended up behind Watley. Watley was first in the race. He was first on a 250 Suzuki, but I was second and first KTM or 500 home. So I won, which probably helped soften the pain, Martin, because I won 250 quid of Dave Smith's money, which is equivalent to about 15 grand now. So Western was a good event. I know things evolve, but the early days where you parked on the beach and you went to Mr B's nightclub and ended up getting off with some random bird. I know that was when the wife was with me, so that was much earlier than that. But yeah, all good fun. It was a great event. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a race for the punters. They would build this ridiculous course now that hardly anybody could get round, and everybody was cheering, thought it was great fun. But yeah, it was a tough ride. Yeah, had a good bike.
I've just seen this one. I think this is from. I've just looked on it because he's not registered it, but I've looked on my Facebook on my phone. It's let me just double check that was him. Yeah, it's Mark Furness. He's just put, tell us about the KTM 500s. I had an 87 KTM 500 and it was an absolute beast. I was only 17, early 18, racing the AMCA experts. Respect for riding big cuttings.
Yeah, fair play. Well, throttle goes both ways, mate. They were a terrific bike. I stuck with KTM mainly through Gordon Jones. He was very kind. He was a very, very honest, straight fella, and we got on like a house on fire. My dad was a big part of my racing, and Gordon and Dad got on like two brothers. Gordy had some great backing I didn't want for much, but the KTM was a very simple 500. It was an underrated bike. No power valve, nothing like that. The thing was beautiful to ride. And I was very fortunate. I know everything happens for a reason. Lawrence Spence, about 86, 87, Lawrence Spence was riding for KTM for the factory. They had a few issues. I think the truth of it now is that Lawrence wanted to ride a Kawasaki and had to somehow get out of a KTM deal. He got injured, unfortunately for Fat Larry, smashing fella, as are all them boys over there. And I ended up, Gordon said, well, why don't you use his engine? So we borrowed the factory KTM engine and put it in my frame, and I never looked back. It was embarrassingly easy to ride. It was beautiful, and I'd ridden some of the best bikes. I'd ridden Thorpe's bike over the old Dean when we were practicing. Obviously couldn't tell anyone, I went home with a big stonking hard on holding my chin up, but I had ridden the factory HRC, and I don't know if that's a technical term, but the KTM I had was beautiful. So much so that everyone who's been to Canada Heights, I could assure you, from the start gate to the first turn in second gear, if you weren't in the top 3, you do something drastically wrong. It was embarrassingly quick. Kurt Nickel would agree with me as well, should he ever be talked to me again. But he would agree. Those bikes were phenomenal. Yeah. They were very clever as well. The factory would make things that looked completely standard and production, but they were far from it. And you look at it and think, wow, it's a standard bike, but it wasn't. It was a fabulous engine. So yeah, but not wild. That was the clever thing. Like David's bike. When I rode Thorpe's bike, I had much more respect from him because I was expecting this thing to go around on hover pads. And yes, it worked very well, but it was Thorpe still had to turn the throttle and pull the brakes on, you know, and you still had to ride it. Yes, it was good, but there were also some other blokes on some very good bikes, and Thorpe had the beating of them. And I think that's unfortunate. Talking about the veterans and the motocross memories, everyone harping on about DT. But DT was very, very, very good. And a lot of folks have forgotten just how good he was. We haven't, because we were there. But when you try and explain to someone, you know, we explained to someone there were like 12 rounds and 3 races at each round at a British Championship. And the bloke run every single race. You got 40 fellas on the line, 36 races, anything can go wrong. And the fella goes and wins all the races. So how do you do that unless you're very...
For the record as well, the British Championship back then was like stacked, and probably that was GP level right down to sort of top 15, wasn't it? It was like...
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite an achievement. But I know, but of course he's so humble when you do meet and you talk to him and you think, yeah, he was phenomenal. Yeah, he was great. And because people say, oh, was he the world champion? And say, yes, he was. Because they have no idea. Yeah, very fortunate to be part of that gang. You know, David, one year, David won the World Championship. I'm sure it was Luxembourg, and I think it was 87. He'll correct me, but he came over and he said to me, look, HRC have got a party tonight because we've won the World Championship. I was there with my dad. Do you want to come along? So he literally gave us 2 tickets to this big fancy dinner. I managed to scrounge a shirt from somewhere, and Dad and I went and parked in the car park and made our way into this massive hotel. I'm sure it was in Luxembourg. Proper job flash place, all set there. And of course, there are a lot of riders were all there. Joe Bay and Gabors and all them boys, they were at the bar getting into him. I think they threw Thorpe in the swimming pool before he'd even got there, poor old sod. So his shoes were ruined and everything. But we went into this massive hall. I won't go on, but we sat in this table. There were lots of people around, lots of Japanese people, lots of J models, as we called them then, lots of dignitaries, some FIM guys, all them blokes. And this waiter, my dad and I were sat at the table, and the waiter comes over. It was a posh dinner, and my dad, the waiter, got the wine glass, and the waiter says, "Oh, wine, sir?" And my dad said, "Oh, yes, please." And the waiter starts pouring the wine from the bottle, and suddenly this bread roll, I think it was Dave Smith, this bread roll comes flying from the other side of the room, hits the glass and just smashes out the waiter's hand all over the table. And the waiter just stopped. And he just bent over and just never said a word. And he just picked the pieces of glass up, put it in the thing, and just walked off. Come back with another bottle. Like nothing had happened. And my dad was saying, "Oh no, they were animals, and they were completely out of control in this real flash place." And I remember he was a big dude. David will tell you this when you speak to him. I was laying in my truck 1 or 2 in the morning. He told me he heard it in the morning in the hotel room. He said he was sat in bed with his hands over his ears because either Joe Bay or one of those boys was going up and down the car park in a BMW with doing wheel spins and then big handbrake turns and stuff like that. And look at this, it's like, and Dave, I was waiting for the bang. And they woke us up. I said, "What's that?" And it was like 3 in the morning or something. They were wild. I was very privileged to be at that very nice function.
Yeah, sounds very posh. That sounds very posh. I've just got this Martin Bates in here who's put, "Hi Rush, you are a motocross legend."
Yeah, Bates.
He sent me this earlier and he put, let me just get rid of the comments so I can see what he's put. Oh, what have I done with that now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go. He's just put, "Hi Lee, it would be great if you had time to talk to Russ about his training days with Thorpe on a Wednesday at Camberley track. It was amazing times. Many thanks, Martin Bates from 22. Your racing events are brilliant."
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he used to. I know Martin used to bunk off school, which I don't. Please, if there's any youngsters watching, please don't take that as an excuse to have the day off school. But he used to come over. I think he lived on the Old Dean estate. The Old Dean estate was like a big piece of ground over Camberley. Certainly not far from here. 15 miles from him, but about 5 miles from David's house. So we all used to practice there on a Tuesday, Thursday, or maybe just a Wednesday. And it was a bit like Matchams. It was a big open piece of ground, big bumps, like a black sand. So you could go there through the winter. Yeah. And that little Martin, as a school kid, used to come over to watch the motorbikes. So I soon got to know him. I think I gave him one of my shirts and he's never ever forgotten it. But yeah, he's a smashing fella. Loves his bikes, loves his racing. And he did actually come to Cullum to your meeting that we were riding at, and said it was probably one of the best meetings he's ever been to. He absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, he loves his motocross. He thinks the world of David. But yeah, that's where we met over the Old Dean, and that was pretty much half the British Championship were over there on a Wednesday.
Was it?
People travel far and wide. Davy Watson and Coyler and Wheeler and all those boys, they've all been there. Julian Clark and all back in the day, Paul Hunt, obviously all them fellas, or everyone, Richard Dye, Brian Bader, Chrissy Benford, all them boys, a big gang of us, a big entourage. And we all used to meet over the Old Dean about 9:30, 10 o'clock. We'd make a track up and away we'd go. In fact, one of my first encounters with Merv the Swerve, Max's dad, as he's probably now known. He used to be Mervyn Ansty. Now he's Max Ansty's dad, who's actually setting the world alight. And fair play to him, I'll say that. Fair play to that Max. Sounds like a good lad, but he's got it. So, and fair play to Merv for bringing him on. I turned up over the Old Dean or Camberley, and there wasn't many people there. There was just one guy riding round. So I parked up, put my kit on, got my bike off, and it was Merv. And he comes over and he says, I said, "Right, Merv, how's it going?" "Not bad," he says. I said, what's the story? Got a track set up?" Yeah, I have." I said, "Okay." Now, I never had any problem with Ansty. I know he was an individual, and I also believe he was ahead of his time. And I take my hat off to him. I believe he went some time with a sports psychologist. He had several things, and he was keen as mustard, and he was fit. Couldn't knock that for him. But every now and again, he just seemed to let himself down. And he said to me, I said, "Yeah, we got a track up?" He says, "Yeah, I've got one set up." It's okay. Right, I will have a look round. He said, "No, hang on a minute." So what's the matter? He said, "You're going to need, if you want to use my track, you're going to have to ask permission." I said, what do you mean? He said, "You're going to have to ask permission." I said, "Ask who?" He said, "You're going to say to me, "Mervyn, please can I ride on your practice track?" And I said, "Merv, you can fuck right off." Yeah, "I'm sorry." I said, "Stick it up your arse, mate. I'm going practicing." And he went, oh. It was like, I don't know if he wasn't trying to be funny. I think he was trying to psych me out, but it didn't work because he's a lunatic. I thought, what is he talking about? He didn't own the place. You know, very strange fella. And we laughed it off. But it was only me and him there. And I was driving back thinking, well, that was a bit worrying because there we go. Years later, we know why. So, yeah, good fella. Fair play to him.
Oh, I've got a funny video as well from him because obviously a few of the riders have been doing a video saying about the reunion and stuff like that. And I spoke to Merv as well.
Yeah.
And he's the only one, that's just typical Merv, he's the only one that sort of pretty much said loads of stuff, but not really anything about what he was supposed to say.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah, I know he had several, the psychology, the bond between, it was all early days. I mean, it all sounds perfectly normal now because a lot of professionals have sports coaches, they have sports psychologists and all that. At the time, he was quite unique. And he had a fellow who was not familiar with motocross, who visited several meetings and then came back with his take on the sport. And I know one of them was, you'll see some of the early pictures where he was with Merv, this guy, apparently he puts his goggles on. He said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, that's a face mask." No, so stops. And he said, what's that for? Because we had open face helmets then. And he said, well, that's to stop the stones. That's to stop the roost from the other bikes. And the bloke said, no, you've got it completely wrong. Like, you're already on the back foot. Like, why are you protect? You've got to get the start. So you're not going to be going to get roost in your face if you're out the front. You're already defeated. So some of those pictures of Mervyn where he just wears the goggles with no story behind that. The fella said that's the only way you can be in. And of course, the fella used to get the starts. The fella had said to him, this is the only way you're going to get, without getting peppered, you've got to be out in the front. Because what Merv used to do was get the start and fight his way to the back. But along the way, if anyone got in his way, look out. But yeah. You know, can't knock him. I'm only pulling your leg. But yeah. I work with individuals. I work with some very clever people. I work with some very twisted people. I like individuals, and Mervyn was certainly an individual. Yeah.
When I spoke to a lot of the British guys, Russ, like Malin, Herring, I don't know, Nicol, Thorpe, loads of the guys, Dobb, all of the guys I spoke to, I sort of always asked a question about who were the guys you had to keep an eye out on the track, like were a bit naughty or you didn't like racing with and stuff like that. Pretty much Merv's name come up most of the time. Was there any guys that you used to sort of always come together with on the track somehow or another, or was there someone that you always used to just end up in the same places all the time? Or
No. I didn't really mix it with those boys. I was making the numbers up, to be honest, Lee. If I got a start and fought my way to the back, so be it. But no, all those boys were good races. They were good. I mean, Malin and all them fellas, they came through the schoolboy ranks. I did nothing of the sort. My first encounter was a junior race, and I didn't do any schoolboys. And I was at a meeting. I was a bit of a superstar in the juniors, and these two lads had turned up on the day to both on Kawasaki's. Youngsters, and apparently said, oh, they're like the top schoolboys. I had no idea who they were. One of them was a lad called Howard Lucas, and the other lad was a young lad called Jeremy Watley. I had no idea who they were, but they ran rings around me. I know that. We're up at Mildenhall. This is 1980, mate. So this is 1980, you know, and they actually disappeared into the distance, and then just to really rub it in, stopped, waited for me to go by, and then come back past me again. So well, I wasn't. So that I went to that meeting thinking I was the kiddie, and I came back thinking, what are we doing? I'd never seen anything like it. I got to know Watley reasonably well. Jeremy was a nice lad. Best thing about him is his missus, and still is, but that's another subject. She's gorgeous.
I was trying to get hold of him, but
yeah. I'm not sure on it, but yeah, I soon realised that we had some work to do, and those boys who'd been sponsored schoolboys and stuff, yeah, they were quick. But yeah, all of those fellas, I've been very lucky to meet those characters. Paul Cooper appeared over the Old Dean, over Camberley, on I think it was a Kajiva he was riding for Mike Carter when he very first appeared. Come from South Africa. Obviously, I'd spent some time out there. I had a trip that we could talk about soon, and we had a little bit in common. Within half an hour, I met the bloke. I could tell he was going places. He was very quick, very quick. We had a couple of double jumps that I'd sort of take 2 or 3 weeks to build up the confidence to do. And I said to him, look, come and have a go over my double. Mate, he just rode it once and then went back and doubled it straight over. I thought, good grief. And then he said to me, what about doing it the other way, which I hadn't even dreamt of. And with that, he just spun it round and then done the double jump back the other way. I was like, good grief. Yeah, that was Cooper Man. Smashing fella. He could ride a bike.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm just looking down his comments. We've got quite a few comments coming in, and a lot of them haven't got their names on them. So I've just been going back into my phone to try and look, because they haven't given permission on this privacy crap that they do now. But this is Julian Clark, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
So this is Julian Clark, and he's put, how you doing, Julian? It'd be good to see you in April as well. He's coming to the Legends. Tell Lee about the dwarf you backed over in the car park.
Yeah, Clark, that was, there's still a police inquiry about that. So I can't really go into details, but yeah, I backed over a dwarf, and I got out the car and he said, I'm not happy. And I said, well, what one are you then? So But I'm enjoying the Facebook thing. I love Facebook because it saves me so much time. I used to spend hours walking around telling all my friends that I've been feeding the cat. So
having a coffee.
I detest social media and Facebook because I work in a school. I don't do the social media. We're not allowed to. It's filtered out and stuff like that. But saying that, and I do enjoy the vets and Speedway Memories group. Since the weekend, just gone, I have also joined a group of like-minded individuals. Yeah. It's called the Sex Offenders Register.
I was just about to say, this is a porn site or something. Is this like a dogging page or something?
I can't believe how funny I am.
Oh, you're brilliant. It's classic.
Yeah,
I've got who's that here? I'm just looking on my thing again. That's Kevin Baker. He's just put, what was your best finish in a GP, Russ?
Okay, so anyone who knows me, well, I've probably bored them shitless with this one, but it was in fact the very last round in 1989. We ventured off, myself, my dad, and my gorgeous wife, who's upstairs, probably watching the Bake Off, and we went to Wohlen in Switzerland. Okay. Quite a grassy, quite a natural sort of English type track. Had quite a few supporters there. Thorpe had already won the World Championships. You have to bear that in mind. So my critics and the haters have reminded me that the championship was already dealt with. So there wasn't really anything to race for. And it was also deep mud. Well, they can all piss off. At the end of the day, I qualified about 8th on the Saturday, which was quite enlightening for me. So I thought, yeah, that'll do. But it was mud. My KTM was good. And I didn't mind a bit of soft going. It pissed with rain all night. It was almost going to be cancelled, but they ran it anyway. And bugger me, I think I was about 3rd on the first lap. Got the start and hung on in there. Obviously 40 minutes plus 2 laps, knee deep in mud and shit. And I think I finished 8th or 9th. I couldn't believe it. In fact, I will tell you that Phil Mercer, factory Phil Mercer, bless his cotton socks, who's in veteran times 10, he was there with a load of his mates cheering me on. Well, he was cheering everybody on who was British, I think. And I think the Stella was flowing and the banners were there. But yeah, and I went and had something like an 11th or something in the next race. So I ended up in the top 10 on the day. Awesome. Yeah. One shout out I have to give was Bob Hart, I think from Hondas or Fowlers of Bristol. One of those fellas actually pulled me out the mud with about a lap to go because I went wide, went in the deep stuff. Thought, and he jumped over the fence, hooked the front wheel out, and away we begin again. So I apologise and probably should have been disqualified. But yeah, that was quite an achievement.
Did you lose any spots when you got stuck in there, or
what's that?
Did you lose any spots when you got stuck in that bit at the end?
No, not at all. It was well spread out by then.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my claim to fame. Yes,
they must be buzzing for that.
Yeah, it was great, and we then drove like you do, which is what the passion's all about. Perhaps this is why I'm considered to be a legend. We then drove right through the night and the day, and got to the Kennel on the bank holiday Monday.
Oh, yeah, bank holiday.
Right at the Kennel International, which was absolutely rock hard and dusty. So. But to be honest, it didn't really matter because I'd achieved this, and because no one knew about it, and there weren't phones or intraweb or anything like that then. But word had got back that I'd had a top 10. Yeah. Gordon Jones was chuffed. In fact, I think Gordon might well have given me one of my bikes as a present for that at the end of the year as a bit of a bonus because he was that sort of fella.
That's nice. Bet you're chuffed on that as well. Got that's Eddie McCarthy. He's going to be at the reunion. Just put, hi, how are you doing, buddy? See you in Devon.
Yeah, Eddie, bad boy McCarthy. Yeah, he likes a bit of motorbikes.
Yeah, he did a bit of Speedway as well. Remember?
Okay.
As well. This which is this comment there? Where's that from?
Someone's going to come and find me in the pits. Hopefully, give me some more jokes.
This was Brian Smith. He's put evening. Which of those trophies is your favourite?
In the background, it's got to be the chicken, I think. I think one of these, I won a French international at a place called Dol de Bretagne. I think that's a little bit French. Had a good race there with a fella called Mason Weir from up north. Me and him had a race, had a ding dong, but yeah, I ended up winning that. And then quite an interesting one. I won the first race. He was chasing me all the way. I was back at the van. I'll get a knock on the van door from the club secretary and the sort of the FIM guy, whoever he was. And he said, "Oh, Jarman, yes, that's me. Yeah. Race number 1, yes. First." He said, and then he says, English guy. I said, "Yeah, Mason Weir." He said, "Next race, he number 1." And he says, and the French guy goes, "Spectacular. We pay." So I said,
you were like,
yeah. I said, "Okay, so what you're saying is you want me to let him win the next race?" Yeah. Then everyone stayed for the last race. For spectacular. I said, "Yeah, okay, mate. Yeah, rightio." Anyway, Mason Weir went down on the first turn. I think was right dead last. So I won that one as well. But I didn't see the French bloke again or his money. But I did win the French International. Yeah. But it was probably on a day where there was a Grand Prix or there was a big event elsewhere. So it happens.
Just David Campbell as well. Come on.
Yeah,
I've got a stitch from laughing. Glad to have raced with you boys, even though I got my ass whooped.
No, Campbell, he did have his ass whooped. He was a good rider. He's Scottish champion. He's a good lad. He's a good lad, yes. Campbell. Just it's not our fault he lives up there.
Oh, Martin's just put as well that he was there the day Paul Cooper was doing them jumps with Russ as well.
Yeah, I think he bunked off a double geography at the time or something like that. So
sounds good to me.
So yeah, the Old Dean has been a famous, but certainly around here, and it's also dealt with many a good rider. Jason Higgs, if you remember that young lad, he was crazy fella, and his old man, he was good entertainment. But he appeared over the Old Dean on one of those Vertimati things or whatever it was, and riding round. And we play riding at the end. There's this great big double jump. And he says, I can do that. I said, no, you won't do it. Because there was no way. The takeoff was like this and the landing was like this. And I thought, well, no, you're not going to get the height. You're not. No, I can do it. So off he disappears in the distance. And then you see him head down, looking it through the gears. It's this takeoff. Comes up like a metre short into the face of the jump. Bars straight through the tank. And a massive end over end. Absolute lunatic. And we ran over and picked him up and he was all smashed up and said, well, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, yeah, I had to try it. Raving mad. Yeah.
I remember him well. I've had him on here as well. That was a good crack as well.
Yeah, he's funny. I went over there one evening over the Old Dean. There was a load of us, the late, great Stuart Miller who used to run Comerfords. Couple of Paul and Leon, my buddy Leon Haxton, we're all over there riding one Wednesday evening. It was 9:30, 9:45 at night. It was still light down in the woods. I'll never forget. It was like a camaraderie. It was a great place. And we were all sparring about up and down in these woods and stuff. And it was nearly 10 o'clock at night in the summer, like would have been the middle of June. Yeah, it was a great place. It's all stopped now, unfortunately. One thing led to another. I think there was some boys sparring about. Like anything, it's the minority. The riders were riding up through the estate where it was, and they stopped it, declared it a site of scientific special interest, and it stopped overnight.
Good point what Kevin said here. Kevin's the partner that does my reunions with me. He just put amazing result when GPs were proper. There's not many more than 10 on the line these days. Have you seen some of that last year in the MX1 and stuff? And it looks horrible.
I ride a fuel-injected bike, and I know things have to progress, but it's very upsetting. You see, I know there's money involved, and I know, and the flyaway things, and whoever it is now who runs the show, they're not about motorbikes. They're about selling units, and those units happen to be customers. So yeah, it's a business, but it is unfortunate. It's I see the numbers dwindling. It's tricky. I mean, I don't quite know what the answer is. I don't think there is an answer. I think there's far too many distractions for the crowd. for the spectators. Certainly, the veterans thing at Fox Hills, at your favourite track there, it's a one-off. It's a spectacle. I know a lot of folks went and had a great time there, and good luck to them. You know, as for the modern stuff, I still love the racing, but I do think, goodness gracious me, it can't be easy when there's, you know, you're flying to Malaysia and places like that. How on earth can you justify that? But it is a world championship, and yeah, that's the way it goes.
That's William Bell said that Roy did more laps running than Jason did racing it.
Yeah, Roy was. He's a superstar. I remember him standing in the bucket of at Namur. He was standing in the bucket of the digger with his shirt off, going yeah. When his boy was coming around, he was like Tarzan, and like that. And there were all these officials going, "Get down!" And he's like, "Fuck off!" Like he's fucking savage. It's like he needed like harpooning to like with a tranquilizer dart to like get that bloke down from there. He wasn't having none of it. And I think in the end they said, if you don't come down, we're going to black flag your rider. He's like, oh yeah, but yeah, he was control. The unfortunate thing, those boys bounced off each other. His dad and that Jason, because the boy had talent. He was fast. He was fast. He just needed a check up from the neck up, I think, but he was fast. Yeah,
brilliant. David's just put. I've been down the south 25 years now, Russ. I'm only an hour and a half drive from you.
Get your ass on that mountain bike then. Come on. Come to my track. You can have a free go. So, brilliant.
Martin's just put, Russ, the camel bib I got from you at Farley was 1987 GP. How much did you get paid to wear it? Did different GPs vary?
Well, the camel bib, that was a bit of a question because there was a big hoo-ha about the camel bibs. I remember doing, I think it was Hawkstone. So it would have been if it was Farley 1 year, Hawkstone. The 1 year I wore the camel. When I signed on, they said, "Oh, you're wearing the camel bib." And there was a thing about Rothman's Honda. There was a thing about camel. There was a lot of anti-cigarette propaganda going about, sponsorship and stuff. I think Honda said, "Why are you wearing camel bibs?" I said, "Well, they sponsor us. What do they pay prize money? Oh, $2,000. Well, we're double that. Don't wear it." So there was a bit of an issue. But one man's loss is another man's gain. I qualified for the Grand Prix. I think I had something like a 16th. I think I just missed out. And in fact, I think Willie Simpson might have nicked the last point for 15th. And I think I was like 16th and 18th at Hawkstone. But I was happy with that. I think it was my first Grand Prix or my wild card. So I was pleased with that. I went and got my prize money. So I got my start money and I got my prize money. And they said, "Oh, you've qualified for the camel bib money." And because the first 5 or 6 were all Hondas and other people had stepped out, and I ended up 9th or 10th overall on the camel bib money. So I got paid for that. And I remember sitting in my wife will confirm this, sitting in my truck at Hawkstone, counting out the 20s, and I had £890 prize money, which is like 10 grand nowadays. And I thought, fuck me, I've hit the big time. So we had, we had chicken balls 10 and a crispy duck on the way home with that lot. But and that was through the camel bib money. Yeah, I remember. And I was only at Hawkstone as well. I was thinking, yes.
Wow, that was awesome. Yeah,
I remember those. Dave Smith was my that would have been about that era. Dave Smith was my international manager. He was also had a foot with the ACU, and I remember I think it was Mark Banks was injured, but wasn't quite sure if he was going to make it to Namur, and literally he said, "Oh, he was going to go practicing on the Wednesday, and he would make a decision." And I literally it sounds pathetic, but that's how it was because they folks called the shots. And I remember getting a phone call from Smithy, Dave Smith, on like the Thursday morning and saying, "He's pulled out, get yourself over to Namur. You're in for the Grand Prix." I'm like, what? So
awesome.
It was that late a call, and everything was done by fax then. So they would fax all the entry through, and so you drive over to Namur, you find the secretariat, the controlled place in the town. You park up, you go in there with your license, grade 1 license then, because you're an international rider. And I'll never forget it. So I'm a international pilot, Angleterre, Russ Jarman. Yeah, let's have a look. No, sorry, you're not down there. And Smithy hadn't faxed anyone. He'd forgot, or something had happened. And I'm like, no, I'm a replacement rider. No, sorry, off you go. Go park outside. I said, no, there's been a mistake. So we had to make phone calls and, oh yeah, sorry, I'll be there in the morning. You're thinking, Jesus. Yeah, so it was all late minute stuff. So a lot of the time I wasn't actually even in the program, or it was misspelt or added on at the bottom. So yeah, it was a bugger. But that year I ended up doing the last 5 GPs and I qualified at all of them. Thanks to DT, I soon worked out a system. And along with Wheeler and Stuart Coyle and all those boys and James Marsh and all them blokes who were nibbling away, you soon, if you have some form of intelligence, you soon work out how to make the system work for you on how to get a quick lap in. You know, and even Thorpe, I was struggling. He'd come over, be in the qualifying group, and I'm like 18th, 19th. The first 15 are going through, and we've got like 10 minutes to go. And he'd come over and say, "Hey, getting on?" I said, "I'm struggling. I'm down." He said, "Right, I'm going to do 1 lap. Just follow me." He said, "You can follow me round Camberley, round the Old Dean." Because Thorpe's theory was if they had a Grand Prix over the Old Dean at Camberley, I'd win it. So he said, "Just follow me. Just follow me, go exactly where I go." Right? So right out. So off he went. I joined him behind him. We came round, head down, arse up the hill, down the hill, round the jump, up across the right. He come and I was like 8th. That'll do. I said, "Thanks, DT." We were in. Yeah. And that was 500 Swiss francs, which is about 350, 380 quid. That's the difference between getting your start money and nothing. So yeah, we were in. And those boys, so you learn to get, like a lot of the sandy tracks, you'd get your bike at the pits before the track got too rough. You'd come in early and get your bike up there early. And you go out and do 2 or 3 laps and then come in and see how you get on, because you just can't hang off it for an hour. So you soon learn.
Oh, we've got man, he's coming here, coming in April as well, Mr. Rob Andrews. Hi,
Rob
RJ.
Andrews. Yeah, Rob Andrews. Where do I know that name? That's I'm getting confused with. There's a prolific author who lives down in the Worcester area. That might be the same bloke, I think. But, it can't be Andrews, because the woman with him is far too attractive for him to be with her. So it must be some like a body double, or some sort of hobo who's living in his ditch near his big house. But it could be Andrews. Yeah, come to think of it, Christ. Yeah. Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing Mr. Andrews again, if he has time to talk to me, of course, in between his book signing. So
he goes, "It's my daughter, you weirdo."
Oh, fair play. Yeah. Oh, luckily she's got her mother's looks, mate. So
Perry said Rob, top up to sell. Hey, Perry, how's it going, Perry? You got to get on here, and Rob Andrews.
Yeah.
I do need to. I've got to finish.
Yeah, it's been great. We had so the reunion at the Kawasaki. There were all sorts of folks there. There was Colin Thomas and obviously Brian Wheeler and Perry, Greg Hansen, obviously Julian Clark, who we haven't seen. I haven't seen Clarkey for years. We were in contact. He disappeared off the scene for a couple of years. I don't know what happened there. He wouldn't answer his WhatsApps and stuff. So I don't know what happened. Whether perhaps where he was, he didn't get a good signal. But he's back in groove. He's back in the groove now. So, but yeah, he's all good. I thought he was going to write a book as well, but
it's a good print, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him doing the team managing as well with Watley in the when he won the 500.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much. Yeah, he did. He was in at the pointy end. Yeah, yeah, with Action Workshop, I believe it was. Yeah, that was about that era. Billy Lyles and that. Billy Lyles. Another bloke, terrific skill. Yeah. Rob says, asking him about skiing. Oh, is he referring to the snow type, or is he referring to skiing as in? I can tell you that skiing, and Rob will appreciate this. Skiing is a term we use as a parent, and it actually stands for spending your kid's inheritance. So he's a skier. So that's what we're doing. So you sell your house, you go to the Maldives and say, fuck the kids, because I'm now a skier. I'm spending my kids' inheritance. But he's probably talking about the motocross skiing holiday that we went on. I think Isaac, Mooey, Shades, all of the boys. And Rob Andrews was part of those boys. Yeah, he lasted about 2 days.
Oh, Jesus, I'm going to need to get a toilet. You're going to have to entertain everyone. You already are anyway. I don't need to be here. Oh, classic.
Yeah, Rob he was good at skiing. He just kept getting in the way of me. But yeah, that was good fun.
Chris Cook put Russ, when are you going to write a book?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It seems to be quite trendy. Yeah, I don't quite know. I was gonna call it something like The Old Dean, and it's part of my downfall. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to write yet. Yeah.
I can see Greg Anson's on and he's laughing there. That's Greg, because I'm looking.
Yeah, Greg's as good as gold. Yeah. Greg was a fabulous rider. He was so neat and smooth, and he still is a smashing fella. And he's had a few issues with his health. Scared everyone a couple of years ago when his heart stopped beating for a while. But it wasn't his time to peg it, because I believe there was a CPR machine at the track. Because like every single practice track you go to in the UK's got a CPR machine, hasn't it? Everyone's got a defib machine. Like the farmer when he's grading the track thinks, what have I forgotten now? Let's have a look. Oh, tractor, plough, defib machine, So luckily there was something there, because it was quite a story. Yeah. Absolutely right.
You should do stand up.
Yeah, I've actually been toying with doing a bit of stand-up comedy, because a friend of mine does a bit down at he's got a gig down at the Old People's Home on a Thursday night. He says it's easy money, because even if he's not funny, they all still piss themselves.
I was wondering where you'd go with that as well. I was thinking, oh no, what's he going to say now? I think I am as well.
That's what it's all about.
Oh, God. I'm regretting having a bit of drink now, because I'm like, I need to go for a piss now.
Yeah, this is tequila. So there's a picture of Perry Leask on there where he's looking far too healthy. But Perry's a smashing fella. And towards the end of my British stuff, me and him, because he's close by, we rode in a thing called the Ace 4-Stroke Championship. It was a bit like a smaller version of the Haynes 4-Stroke, but it was pretty much Perry and I were bashing bars. Obviously, Stacey Harmon and Tom Fuller. But I had some terrific ding-dongs with Leesky. It was always very fair, but we had some great. Yeah, there's a couple of the boys there. Couple of numpties, bless him. Stacey there. Stacey's the one with the long hair. He's a rocker now. I think he plays a guitar or something in some band. Been all over the place. Tom, I believe, is still doing a fine job painting crash helmets and various bits. But they were good lads. We both enjoyed their racing. Yeah, we had some good battles. A lot of those, certainly in the Ace and the local one, it was Perry and I laughed and joked that it would be the race was decided on who got to the back markers first, because once you got to the tail enders, it got a bit lively.
Chaos, was it?
Yeah, and everyone was out there racing. Don't get me wrong; I'm not knocking anyone, but it did get a bit scary at times. Yeah, we had some good. We had some good ding dongs. Stacey had a very expensive Husqvarna at the time. I think it was like a Jackie Martin's factory edition, and that thing was quick. So he would get the start. He'd get out the gate, and he was sort of like chasing him. But luckily, it used to wear him out. He only had about 3 or 4 laps in him because the thing was phenomenally powerful. But yeah, we had some good racing, and that was the early. So that was even before the 400 Yamaha or the 426 Yamaha came about. You want an interval? You want to go?
Tracy Clark that's just wrote that. Is there an interval?
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Jim put, Leo warned you, mate. Quality guy. RJ is a proper legend. Everyone's laughing. All I can see is laughing faces from Perry Lee's, Greg Hansen, just all laughing. Everyone's wetting themselves.
Just remember,
I'm literally wetting myself.
I'm no legend. I'm no legend.
Oh, you so are.
I've just been very fortunate. I've had some trips away. Vic Allen, everybody knows Vic, very big character, terrific fella. He gave me an opportunity, approached me in 1984, which was a long time ago, and said, look, did I want to go on a bit of a jolly up to Zimbabwe? Goodness, well, I didn't even know. I didn't know much about it at the time. I now know it's an independent state in East Africa, bounded by Botswana and Mozambique, 6.4 million blacks, 100,000 whites. But I didn't at the time. So I signed up, and another fella who was at the time was cooking was Richard Dye, was Dickie Dye. So Richard and I didn't really know Dickie that well, but we forged a relationship and packaged up 2 bikes and sent them to Zimbabwe, and then went out there. And we were out there for 3 months. It was fantastic. It was an opportunity. It was their summer series. It was a 6-round championship. We left in November and we came back at the end of January. We were met at the airport, a whole group of motorcycle enthusiasts. Pictures were taken. We were in the newspapers. We were on the back of the Herald Tribune in Harare. To these 2 English motocross riders that arrived, and we were treated like celebrities. The people in the Yamaha Centre, they'd taken the liberty of opening our crate because Dickie had a new Yam and I had a KTM, but they'd never seen a KTM over in Zimbabwe, so they wanted to know what it was or who it was made by. So yeah, it was great fun. We had a night out with the lads. Went to Archipelago's nightclub, and by about 2 o'clock I was hanging out some bird in the car park, so it was all good. So
oh Jesus, was it?
Only joking for ladies who are watching. I would never be so misogynistic. It was good, clean fun. But it was great. We met lots and lots of people. Everyone was into the bikes. I've travelled all around the country, fell in love with the country. It was a fabulous place. We were welcomed with open arms. And I ended up going back there a couple of years later on the private sponsor, and then back again. So I ended up winning there. Now, it took 3 years to win it, but I ended up winning their national series. Yeah, it was fabulous. And Vic organised that. And I will thank him. I would never forget that opportunity he gave me. But the other thing it did, Lee, was when I came home in the beginning of 1985, it basically meant I'd been riding all winter. So we just went. We were up the pointy end. But even the early birds, I was right up there with all the boys who'd been riding around in the mud and soft and sand. We were in the sunshine riding all winter. So it really, really helped. That was an opportunity that just through bikes I would never have got.
I can see Stuart Coyle's on as well, but looks of it, he's laughing as well.
Yeah, Coyle is a top man.
Brilliant. For anyone that don't know, any of the guys and girls out there that don't know, that Russ, you're still hanging it out. Nothing like the hanging out that you were talking about just a minute ago, but you're still hanging out on the bike. Let the guys know what you're riding at the moment, and obviously it was awesome to see you at the reunion last year at Cullum. You were right up there around the podium all weekend, pretty much, weren't you? And that was great to see you there as well. And obviously I met you there for the first time. And there's our John up on the Saturday night, I believe that was in the beer tent. That's the only beer I managed to have.
So everybody who's sitting there listening and watching knows that there's 2 completely different things, and one is practicing and one is racing. So riding around at my track, I still ride a Honda. I've got a 19 450. I love it. I run a little track just up the road, right by the Thorpe Park interchange of the M3 M25. It's called the Runnymede Youth Motorcycle Club. I used to go there as a kid, as Jim Brookman mentioned, and I couldn't see it close. 10, 15 years ago, I resurrected it. I decided I wanted to stay within the sport and put something back into it. So we call ourselves the Runnymede Youth Motorcycle Club now. It used to be the Pit Stop, and that's what I love. And of course, you're riding around there and you're kidding yourself that you're going real good. So when the opportunity come to have a race, I thought, well, why not? Because it's a completely different beast. once the start gate drops and you get peppered with a few rocks, you're thinking, hang on a minute, I remember this. So I was a bit at your meeting, although I thoroughly enjoyed it, I was ring rusty and I hadn't competed. The other issue was I was like a fish out of water, because the last time I went to Cullen was about 18 years ago and it was absolutely flat out. The other thing was it was as rough as a badger's arse. And I was thinking, I am definitely going to come unstuck if I'm not careful here. So I wanted to leave your event in the same van that I arrived in. I didn't want to hurt myself and end up in A&E. So I thought, no, I just need to be careful. But of course, like anything, you get a bit excited. I got put down in one of the races, which ruined me overall because I ran out of time coming back. But I was angry with myself. I only had myself to blame. So I got myself psyched up and I led the last one. I led the last one for about 3 or 4 laps, which was quite good fun to lead a race again at the grand old age of 59. It was all good fun. The only issue is I've been struggling with a very, very sore knee, but I'd had a couple of cortisones in it, so that weekend was okay. After I'd leaving my sport, I'd hurt myself so many times. I didn't want to. I couldn't afford more from a work thing because they were very patient. I had a very bad accident up at my track. Did a front flip into the trees, and I broke my spine. I broke 7 thoracic vertebrae in my back and 5 ribs. So I was in St George's for a couple of weeks. I was in a body brace, which looked like a stab-proof vest, for 26 weeks. I don't know if it's a medical term, but I was fucked. And I thought, if I ever get back on my feet and learn to walk again, I'm going to look after myself and forget the bikes. And I did. I did for a couple of months. But it's a long day when you're not a spectator and you're helping out. And I thought, well, just one little ride wouldn't hurt, and now we're back on it. So, but what I did do, of course, I got into marathon running and triathlon. So I've got some medals. You've probably seen the picture.
Oh, yeah, I've got this. Don't worry about that. I'm all over it. Here we go.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. So that's a collection of my medals. So I started doing 10Ks, half marathons, and I actually did. I've done 7 marathons. I've done New York City. That was an amazing event. Coming over there with Janie. I've done 4 London marathons. I've done Marrakesh, Madrid, and Lisbon in Portugal. But what I do own is this beast here, and this was quite an achievement. I'm quite amazed. Apart from my motocross trophies, and this is called a London Classic. This is basically the London Marathon, the 100-mile cycle ride through the Surrey Hills, and then the 2.5-mile swim in the Serpentine. So there's only 608 of those in the world, and I have one of those. There it is. Size of a dinner plate.
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks. So that's quite an achievement.
Fair play.
It's a great conversation piece.
Sounds painful.
Yeah, there's a lot of work, but I trained for it, and I earned it. But of course, that's all stopped now because my knee's killing me. So that was worthwhile, wasn't it? But yeah, that's what we did. Decided to. I think more of the motocross mentality and the determination is what it's about. But yeah, I've enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed the challenges of triathlon. I've won a couple of those. They only at Thorpe Park, so it's not too far from here. And I think I won one over 55 class, and I won a pack of energy gels, so that was worthwhile. Yeah,
I'll slip them in then.
Yeah.
Bad as that sounded. I've just seen I spotted. I said to you, didn't I, that I've seen Stuart Coyle on. Obviously, I know Greg was on. Greg Hansen. I just see that Andy Gilbert's on as well.
Well, Gilly, yeah.
Yeah, their names not come up on the things but yeah, I can see him on my actual phone part. That's why.
Yeah, smashing fella. His lad's doing the business at the moment.
Yes, doing well.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's his lad. Yeah, Andy's a good lad. Yeah, rode with me with Gordon Jones. Same thing. Gordon took him under his wing. Yeah, good lad, Andy Gilbert. Yeah, he was a long way from home. He's right down in Loo, down in Cornwall, I believe. That's where he's based. But yeah, I saw his lad on the scene. Thought it could only be You can only be Andy's lad. So yeah, good lad. Tell him I said hello.
Great
Great
Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
What a man and what a rider.
Yeah. You must be getting me confused with someone else there. So
Very least didn't know about all your off-track achievements there. Look, he's put fair play. Didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah, so New York City was a fabulous event. I managed to get in. I just for London, I did in under 4 hours. That was apparently, if you were a club runner, that's known as respectable. I think my best time was 3:47. But New York City was a different story because it was about -5. But what an event! I mean, you can say what you like about those Yanks, and we normally do, but they know how to run an event. It was absolutely unreal. It's run around New York City, the 5 boroughs, and it would appear that each borough has a challenge to greet the runners in the best possible way they can. So you go from Queens to Manhattan to Long Island, all of that. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
What was the first? How old were you, and what was your first ever bike that you had then, Russ? When you were young?
A real bike would have been, I had a little Pooch Dalesman I think my dad bought down the car auction. I was about 13, 14. I think it was more of a trials bike than a scrambler. But I used to, my dad was a golfer. He wasn't really interested. I'd save my pocket money up. And I used to push my bike. I lived in Virginia Water. I used to push my bike up through the woods and ride it up the back street and to the track that I'm now running at the pit stop. Yeah, at Line. And I used to ride it round there. Yeah. I think 50 or 48 pence would buy you a gallon of petrol. And when the woman in the kiosk at the garage wasn't looking, you'd put a squirt of 2-stroke oil in it so she didn't see and charge you for that. Maybe nick some fudge as well if she was a bit too slow. And then off you go for the day. Yeah, that's what it was all about. And that's what we did. And I'd come home. I mean, my mum say, "No, don't come in here with them boots on." And she'd hose me down in the garden, and that was it. The passion was born. What happened was I soon became, I suppose addicted is the wrong word, but I soon became that passionate about it. Most of the fellas who would go up to the line to the pit stop, or the checkered flag, which was another much bigger setup in Englefield Green where Greg and all those guys go, they were all racing on the Sunday. So it wasn't long before someone said, "Oh, do you want to come to a race meeting?" So I would go, take my sandwiches, and they'd come and pick me up. So a fella called Andy Sturt and Chris Cook, the Beasley brothers, who were sidecar boys from Windsor, they're all old friends of mine. And I cut my teeth by going to race meetings with them at Purbright and Long Valley, Tweezledown and places like that, Beanham Park. I was just a kid, and I'd never seen anything like it there. I was thinking, this is what I want to do. Yeah, it was amazing. I saved all money up. Of all things, my dad, we found an old KTM, I think at British Car Auctions. Then it was 1979. This was a 75. Wish I still had it now. It was a few years old, and I entered and did my first race at Long Valley. All of my family came along to watch and could soon see that the bike was a bit outdated, but I was determined. The other thing is I have done quite a bit of online stuff and some courses uptown, and one of them I did was in emotional intelligence, and it's quite clear from doing that course that there's a great mantra that it is your desire, not your personal ability, that determines your success. And it was the desire that kept me. I had no idea at the time. It was sowing the seed. It were these life skills that I was learning. And those life skills were every day when we used to meet at school as a kid. I used to stand and listen to Chris Mills and Stevie Taylor and Derek Lee and all my mates talk about the Horsham Schoolboy Scramble Club or the Portsmouth Schoolboy Scramble. Now they were off winning, and Millsy had all these trophies and they had the new RMs and I had fuck all. But it was that listening, it was that desire, I think, that started the snowball of me wanting to do well. When we went from juniors into the adult racing, I knew I wasn't going to be doing schoolboys. Those boys came over from the schoolboys, but I already had the beating of them for whatever reason. And we drifted apart. My dad bought me a new KTM in the 79, of all things, off of H.C. Cecil's in Ledbury, which turned out to be Gordon Jones's shop. So we went full circle. 1980, I started doing some junior events and started winning. and we just went from there. He wrote to several big companies. We got picked up by Yamaha, a fella called Lynn Jarvis. If you watch MotoGP, you'll know that name. He was the head of Yamaha, Mitsui Yamaha at the time. They had some top riders riding for them, like Roger Harvey, Pete Mathia, fellas like that. Vic was there, spannering, and I had a couple of Yamahas, like trade price and some spares. So I got a bit of sponsorship. Struggled a bit on the 81 because it was a cantilever. Went back to KTM in 82. Got some points together, made expert, and away we went. Went on a jolly up with Paul Hunt to the GPs, spanned for him, 250 GPs. Perry was there just to see how the scene was. And the more I saw of it, the more I wanted it. The more it made sense for me to be involved in this sport. I started doing quite well, winning some centre meetings, got into the British supports, and then one person asked me about where I go practicing in the week. I said, I've no idea what you're talking about. I go to work. And they said, well, you're wasting your time. If you go to work, you're wasting your time, mate. So I went home and said to my dad that this bloke said, and he said, well, then jack it in. So I did. I jacked it in. I jacked my job in. I joined the Margaret Thatcher motocross team, went on the rock and roll, as we called it, and the old Dean was born. And I went over there. It was half the guys that I was riding with, and I thought, this is what I'm doing wrong. Gordon Jones supported me with bikes, and I was out practicing. I soon got to meet David Thorpe. I fell in love with David. We forged a relationship where he told me I was reliable and I was determined, and I never looked back. I've been very, very, very fortunate. I'm no legend. I put my trousers on one leg at a time, but I've been very, very honoured to know a lot of very nice people. And I've been lucky. I went out to Sri Lanka a while ago. Some guy contacted me. Did I want to go and do some coaching? So off I go. Had 3 weeks out there. It was fabulous. Met a load of people. They all knew me. How do they know me? I live on the other side of the world. Yeah. Lent me a 250 Yam. Went to the Supercross. We're driving along in the car with this Guyane fella. He said, oh, look, there's my new poster. And there's this massive, massive hoarding at the side of the road with him standing in front of this Honda saying Guyane. He rides a Singer. Well, it wasn't a Singer, like as in the sewing machine. It was a Honda that's badged as a Singer. Yeah, but that's their sponsor. Went to his Supercross. He said, oh, you take it steady. I doubled and tripled all the jumps in one lap, shut him right up, and I was a superhero. Oh, it's got to be done. All because of motorcycles. Awesome. Because I had that desire. So if anybody's wondering how you get on in the world, you have to have desire. And the same with them marathons and stuff like that. You're 5 or 6 miles from home. And myself, I'm saying to myself, you've never given up in your life. You are going to finish this. And that's how it works. You dig in. Leesky knows that. And Thorpe knows that.
All making nice comments. This is Daniel Bishop said, great interview. Also, that was Leon Haxton said, great interview, bro. You are a legend, Russ. Is one of the best in the game is Mark Morris.
He is that right.
And this is Greg Hansen that's wrote, I'm scared for my life after spending a night in a hotel with you in Clark. Julian Clark, we're talking about.
He's easily scared now, Greg. Yeah, I must admit.
Yeah.
and we pay good money for those women, so don't feel bad about that. So, just joking. They fleeced my card, so but no problem. Yeah, that's what it's all about. I consider myself to be very fortunate. I've been and there's some great people in this sport. It's a great sport. I don't know what it's like nowadays. I don't live in the past. I appreciate what's happened, but to understand the future, you have to understand the past. So I'm still trying to get my head around it. So this was an international that Dave Smith organised with a French club, and this picture has surfaced several times. I can name the riders if you'd like me to, from left to right along the back row. That's Cranky Ken Hansen. That's Steve Howe. That's Derek Roberts. That's me with blonde hair, which I'm looking quite fetching actually. Look a bit like the bloke out of Erasure. That's Rob Meek. I believe that's
the old Western specialist.
Yeah, Paul Irwin. Forgive me.
MX Nationals now, didn't he?
Yes. I'm not sure who that young lad is. Forgive me for that, because there were a couple of AMCA boys in there as well. And, and then along the bottom row, kneeling down, the first guy on the left there, that looks like one of the Bee Gees, but I'm sure it's not. That's one of the Wise brothers. That's Barry Johnson, who I spent some time. He came out to Zimbabwe with me. He's a nice fellow. He's good as gold. And Heather, regards to them. Obviously, Leesky in the middle, doing a bit for Queen of Country. And then the other young lads there, I think there's some AMCA boys. I think Richard May, maybe. It was a one-off. It was a good event. Good fun. Good fun. You had to be in with the in crowd to get the internationals. Good God, yeah. That's what me. So this was 1984, and this was the World Under-21 champion at the Coupe de l'Avenir, Joel Roberts track. I literally had a phone call on the Wednesday to say, would I like to ride in the World Under-21s? I was 21 in that year, so I was still allowed to ride in it. There was myself, it was Merv the Swerve, and I think Gary Heaver and another lad, it might have been Luscombe, I'm not sure. We didn't do very well. I think Merv did all right, but we were completely outclassed. But it was a beautiful example of the ACU and just how fucking useless they were, because it was about the Wednesday when we got the call up. We got ourselves down to Dover, and Dennis Slaughter, who was our team manager, missed the ferry. So we were waiting for him at 3 o'clock on the Saturday morning for him to turn up so we could then get to the track. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. I mean, God rest his soul. I know those were some smashing old boys, and they all did a marvellous job. And I think that's what I have to say. So, yeah, blimey, look at that. Look at me with the old hat on. Looking a bit like Keys van der Ven there. Pussycat Woolham there on the left, yeah. Yeah, Pussycat. Yeah, Pussycat, he's good as gold. And Periwinkle there in the middle. And Paul Luscombe, yeah, who's exercising his right to hang off the outside of a cross-channel ferry. So, yeah, good lad. Yeah, we won the Southeastern Centre. Yeah, this is our trip to Zimbabwe. So they're 1987. Yeah, that's when I went out with Barry Johnson. Yeah, so Roy, the guy in the middle, he now lives in New Zealand because unfortunately Mr Mugabe told the Africans to go back and claim what was theirs, which meant burning his farm to the ground. So he left with his entire livelihood in a backpack, and now lives in New Zealand, runs a gym there. I would love to catch up with him one day. But yeah, that was a good series. Barry Johnson enjoyed himself.
What's happened there, Russ?
Yeah, that's somewhere like Boltby, which they can see the rider in the background. There was like a lip there, and I think I took off of that, come up short, and was heading to the crowd. So, bike looks good though. It's like quite a good angle. Yeah.
David White is saying Russ top man.
Yeah, Dave White, blimey. All of these names. Brilliant.
Dean
Yes, they have. Yes, good lads. Yeah. As long as it's the blokes and not the girls. Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's Nantwich. Number 11 there. That's the year I finished. So I ended up 11th in the country and had the year at number 11 for the plate. It might be Nantwich or it might be Ling. Not sure. I remember one of the years I had a good ride at Hawkstone and ended up in the top 10 for the championship through to the next round at Ling, and it was sponsored by Bernard Matthews. And the top 10, this is no word of a lie, we were all given a fucking turkey. Honestly, we were on the start line and they gave you like a frozen turkey in a bag. I was like, what am I going to do with that? I don't happen to have like a chest freezer in my van, mate. But I said, it might be thawed out by the time we got home. They gave I'm sure it was a goodwill gesture, but I don't quite know what I was going to do with like a 14-pound turkey. But I know, it's all completely random. It was like, great.
Richard Miranzi has put, you are a great bloke, Russ. Always.
Yeah. So most of these boys are all familiar. They all love their riding. And most of them have been good customers of mine with my little sideline of forks and shocks, which I keep a lot of fellas on the track with. That's what I do it for, really. It's not about the wedge, it's getting them back on the track. And there is something quite twisted and rewarding when someone phones you up on the Tuesday and says, "Oh, mate, my bike is so much better because I've just done his fork or his shock." And I say, no problem. I quite enjoy that. I like the bit of coaching as well up at my track where, you know, the little lad will come up with his dad at the end of the day and say, "Thanks very much. You know, we really had a good day." So not everybody says that. Don't get me wrong. I spoke
to my BSMA buddy earlier when I was speaking to him, Vaughan Williams, and he said, he goes, "I've took my suspension forward to see Russ Jarman." And I said, "Oh yeah, I've got him on," because I mentioned obviously we're doing this tonight. And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "I've took my suspension there in the past." I was like, "Oh, yeah. Okay, cool."
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Martin Neer has put, "Russ, do you remember Golden Barn race where 1985 British champion? Did you ride that day? It had a flat out big double jump. Do you remember Screen Sport? They covered it so much motocross in the 80s."
Well, of course I remember that. I also remember Dickie Dye doing himself a terrible mischief over that jump. Unfortunately, double jumps are just what could we say, just surfaced. I shouldn't say on the horizon, that's a bit too corny, but they built this big double jump, but it was a killer double jump, and literally if you came up short it was only going to end badly. Some people were doing it and some people were trying to do it, and I know Dickie come up short and had a horrendous crash. Literally put like a bag of fluid across the top of his arse, so he had like another arse at the bottom of his spine. It was very lucky he didn't paralyze himself. It was a horrendous crash, and everybody's like, "What's all that about?" And that was like our introduction to double jumps. It was it was really not, it wasn't forgiving. I remember that. That would have been that year. Yeah,
that's Greg Hansen. That's just put, "My forks are the bollocks for us."
Yeah, I did stuff for Greg not long ago. Yeah, I do quite. I'm a bit of a dark horse because I've got quite a few top runners out there.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. Yeah. I heard about you at a track. But I didn't know about you.
Yeah, forks and shocks.
Oh,
I've got a couple of boys. I do quite a lot of the enduro boys. I've got a fella called James Jackman. He's a smashing fella. He's an ISDE rider, and he runs that Technical Touch. K Arbors, yeah, he brings me them there. They're like working on a Rolls Royce, mate. They're beautiful. And he's messaged me to say they feel fantastic. But you're dealing with quality to start with there, so it's a tricky one.
You all that side then.
Yeah, that's very well. Towards the end of my riding career, I got involved with WP, or White Power as it was then. Yeah. That's not the Ku Klux Klan. That's the suspension company. I've distanced myself from the 3Ks. Some of my best friends are black, so I don't have anything to do with White Power anymore. But WP suspension, I was involved with more sort of production settings. I think basically they took pity on me because I actually went into the back of the van and showed an interest on what they're actually doing. And I would try stuff for them. And a fella called Appy, who's now I believe he's on the MotoGP scene, but spent quite some time in the World Superbikes. So cast your mind back to about mid-80s when we're doing suspension testing for the production bike, and he's in the UK. We go to this track. He says, "Try this shock." I do 2 or 3 laps. I said, "That's diabolical." "Okay, try this one." So I go around. And I came in, and it was good. It was very good. I came in. He said, "What do you think of that?" And I said, "Fucking hell, that is good." Ha 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 ha. Because he's Dutch. He starts laughing. "Oh yeah, oh good, it's good. Yeah, oh good. Oh, we keep this one then." I said, "Yes." "Where did you get that?" "Oh, it's much testing. Didn't think any more of it. He turned out to be a smashing bloke. Fast forward, like, I don't know, 8 years. Leon and I, who's been on, Leon blagged some tickets to the World Superbikes. So we go to Brands or wherever we were, walking around the pits because they were good passes. Great big WP truck. So, "Oh, look at that, bloody hell," into the old road racing. Go in, have a moochus, go into the awning there, and there's Appy, the same guy. Not seen him for like, I don't know, 10 years. I said, "Appy." Now, bear in mind, there's like families and kids and posters being signed, and there are people like that. I said, "Appy." He looks up and he goes, fucking hell, Jarman. Fucking hell. I said, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. Oh, because that's how he remembered me. Fucking hell. I was like, in this Dutch accent. Yeah. Said, oh, come in. Because he's like, look, this is what we're doing now. And yeah, smashing fella. Yeah, they're right into it. I think he's MotoGP now. He stayed at WPs, I'm sure. Yeah.
I just had Richards just said, do you remember the coffee mornings down at Uncle Keith Thorpe's workshop? Great memory.
The Colonel, yeah. Keith Thorpe, obviously, he loves his bikes. He spent a lifetime working on them. Yeah, he was based not far from here at Airport Autos Yard, Bradley Briggs's place. Yeah, and Keith, I think Keith still works some ungodly hour. I think he gets into work about 5:30. I don't know if he shits the bed or whether he's just an old boy, but and he can't help himself. And you go in, there'd be bikes, and there'd be like the bike stripped down to the frame, and then like 1,000 pieces over the bench. I said, Jesus Christ, Keith, what's going on here? Oh, well, no, I'm just sorting out all the bolts, and it was like a military operation. That's the way Keith works. Fabulous. Yeah, of course I remember those. And I was actually doing shocks for Keith because he would strip them down and wash them all out, and I would build them because I had my nitrogen gas and build them for him. But the same thing, he'd expect it back the next day. So it didn't matter what I was doing. No matter, I might have well had somebody else on the bench. Oh no, he would take priority. And he'd say, don't forget I'm gone by about 2:00, so you need to get it back tomorrow morning. And I'm like, yeah, all right, Keith. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah, superstar material, yeah.
I just got Russ, the nicest, funniest bloke ever on the circuit, but not quite lined up. That is Jason Gutteridge.
I thought that was my wife.
That's brilliant.
That's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Brilliant.
Dear, oh dear. Oh. Jason, yeah, they're good fellas. Yeah, there's a lot of good fellas out there. There's a few twats as well, but there's a lot of good fellas out there.
Was there riders, Russ, when you were younger that you idolised and looked up to, like on the bikes?
Well,
when you were young?
Yeah, so because as a kid and having a pooch, my superhero was Harry Everts, because Harry Everts won in 1975 when I was about 10. He won the World 250 Championship on a pooch, because no one even heard of pooches. So Harry Everts, and I did get to meet him later in life. He's a little tiny fella, and obviously his son is another story. But yeah, I would say Harry Everts. But all of those fellas, DeCosta, even Brad Lackey, I did like you do when you were completely obsessed as a kid. I had a science project about motocross. And we went to Matcham's Park for the Hans Grand International, and Brad Lackey was riding there, this American rider, and we were by the track, and he went past and pulled off a tear off. You think this is like 1978 or something, and I just dived out in the track and picked the tear off up, and it was in my science book, and part of my project was to draw the goggles and how a tear off actually worked, and how it stopped you from pulling your goggles down and could save stones getting in your eyes. But it was Brad Lackey's tear off, so I followed Brad Lackey. Yeah, and of course, obviously, obviously Noisy. I was a kid. We were at Farley Castle when Noisy won there. That was 79. The place there were 30,000 people there, I believe. I was there that weekend. Yeah, and banging on with my back of my heels, bang, 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 bang on the back of the grandstand. It was a phenomenal atmosphere. Yeah, Noisy, and of course I know Noisy. He's a character.
That was an eye opener because I did an interview with Noisy at his house.
Yes,
it was absolutely mental.
Yes,
it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yes. I did one with Harry Everts as well. That was cool. I did one with Harry, and he was worried about like language and that, but he was really good. And then I met him at the Matterley Grand Prix, and he was really nice. He said, I know quite a few of the Speedway riders you have on as well. I was like, shit, he's watching.
Is that right? Bloody hell.
Do that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some good guys. And they're the other thing is at that time the sport was filled with characters, because that's what it was all about. They'd all go off on their trips to Europe, and there'd be stories all the way along. Even You know, the trip I went with Paul Hunt in 1983. It was me, his girlfriend Kim, and him in the little Isuzu van. Because our entourage, it was Vic Allen was with David Watson, and then Stephen Russell from Belfast, and I believe Perry joined us a bit later on. But it was great fun. We stopped in campsites, and Watson went in the shower. We nicked all his clothes, and he ran through the campsite with a shower curtain around him. That's the way it was, and everybody was laughing. It was all good fun. It was all good fun, and but the common denominator is when the start gate dropped or the qualifying come about, well, they were serious. But it was a great experience.
I actually see what Perry's just wrote there. Look, do you remember me coming to your workshop and showing me why white power 454 forks were blowing the red caps out? I didn't know. I'd only worked on Ohlins back then.
Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I remember those forks. I've just done a set. In fact, isn't it amazing how your mind and your senses retain information? A guy gave me these 1989 250 forks. That's what they were, WPs, 454s. I took the cap off. I don't think they've ever been serviced from new. And as I pulled the outer down, I got this whiff of oil, and I had a massive flashback to standing in Badger Goss's workshop down in Yeovil, because he was importing those white power forks. And I smelt this oil, and I thought, and it stinks. It's a very distinctive smell. I thought, good grief. It was just like I was down in that workshop with him. And he was a nightmare, Badger Goss, I can tell you now. I know his lad yet. Good God, he had some stories. So when he teamed up with Noisy, look out. And unfortunately, my dad was roped into that along the way. They went to Vulcansward. I believe there was Dad, Badger, Noisy, and Gordon were up to no good. It wasn't pleasant. I wasn't involved, but the old man was a nightmare, and Gossy was a nightmare too, with lots of stories. But I remembered that smell, and I thought, good grief. I stood in my workshop thinking, bloody hell, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
I just see my buddy Adam's Winslet. That's Adam there. I can just see him in my phone. I'm just checking to see who it was. Would you recommend DT Enduro Day?
Yeah, so he's got it sussed. It's a lovely piece of ground. Of course I would. It's the bikes. All the bikes are detuned. Those 250 Hondas won't pull your cock out, but they're easy to ride. The other thing is they're crafty buggers and put about £80 in each tyre. So,
Russ, do you mind if I start writing some of these one-liners down? I'll give you copyright off. The power that went for you, Coco.
Yeah, they're a bit. So the bikes are a bit tame, but if you get a gang of you, of course I'd recommend it. It's good fun. It's not cheap, but it is DT. What would you expect? So
that is so funny.
He's got a book out, by the way.
No way.
Yeah, apparently so. So Andrews beat him to getting his book out, but it's about the only time Andrews has beat him, so he better make the most of it.
Adam Winslow just put you crashed enough times on it.
I didn't say crash. I got lost a couple of times, but it was good fun. It's David.
You were the day there with Adam as well, so that was the day I saw you.
Yeah, Adam's the musician, isn't he?
Yes.
Adam's the musician. Yeah.
Have you know that he's got the track up at Fox and Hounds in Newbury? You know, the old GP track.
I believe he does. Yeah, you'd
have to speak to Adam and get out there one day and have a ride.
Yes.
That'd be a good reminiscence, wouldn't it?
I think there's some coverage where they show they had a 250 Grand Prix there.
Yes.
And the start gate drops, and I think it might even be Murray Walker. He says, and it's the top riders in the world, and the gates dropped, and they're round the first turn. And he obviously hasn't got the programme opened at the back half where all the British riders are, because you hear him going through the programme, and it's the teenager Jeremy Watley. He's what? I was like, get it together, mate. Yeah, he was expecting like Baverts or one of them foreign boys. And I think Andy Nichols and Watley shone, didn't they? Yeah, that was a few years ago.
They've still got, because obviously I've been up there with Adam and stuff, and even had a little go around myself, and he had all the old start gate, all the concrete from it and everything's all still in the trees, the big trees that he went through. It's all up there where the old start gate was. So yeah, there's a lot of memories up there from the GPs and all that as well, like you said. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Proper grassy as well, old school.
Yeah, can he not resurrect that and have a meeting there, or
he's had a meeting there? Yeah, a few years back now, Adam, in it. How many years? He'll write on there for me how many years ago. But they had, I think, he even had sidecars up there as well when he had a meeting up there. But he's had a few practice days and things like that, and he's sorting out. So I think they do private practices at the moment. So I'm sure he would sort you out if you wanted to come and be cool.
And have a wobble round.
Maybe the gang that's been to Forpus thing could all go up there together. Is it Julian Clark and Hanson? Guys, that'd be cool.
Greg, Neil McMullen, he likes his motorbikes as well. I was fortunate. I had a mountain bike ride on Neil's bike just the other Sunday with Clarky. We had a bit of a fun. He said, "Come down." Neil wasn't too bad. It's still functioning. All over in the Surrey Hills. Very, very pleasant part of the world.
Adam's just 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. He had a meeting. You're welcome anytime, Russ. So.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That'd be awesome to have I'd come
yes, it would. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, those boys would soon be up for that.
Yeah, I'd get my camera out.
Yep, sounds like a plan.
Get the clothes off.
Yeah, so we had a venture out in the Surrey Hills, bit of training, bit of a pre-season training with Clarky. He's a good lad.
What was your favourite race bike in your career? Would you say then, Russ?
That I rode, or that I was unfortunate that I rode. I think my 86 KTM was a beautiful bike. I had when we moved later on, when we moved, I had a 300 that Jim Lewis. So I spent some time in California. That's where I met Healy. I went over there for the Golden State Series. I did 3 rounds. I got my arse kicked at every round, and then I came home. But that's beside the point. Along the way, I learned quite a bit. And Jim Lewis, a fella from Ross-on-Wye, he's still out there now in LA. He came back to England, and he tuned my little. I had a little 300. I was riding a 250. I was riding a 300, and we did some stuff on that he'd learned, and we got that working very well. And I'd sort of stepped down from British Championship to centre stuff. We've got a couple of centre championships under my belt, won those. But I think I went on a winning spree of about 17 races where I was unbeaten on this little 300. It was a terrific little bike. It was lovely. And of course, the history of that was that the engine was a copy of a Japanese bike with the chain on the correct side. It was new to KTM, and the guy, that Stallberger, I believe he sort of built it and sand cast it in his lunchtime and built this engine and took it to KTM and said, "Look, in order for us to go forward, this engine needs to be like this." And they apparently they wouldn't have it. They said, no. They were a bit like they were stuck in sort of like Villiers mode, where everything they built was brilliant. There was no room for improvement. It didn't need to be improved. But the writing was on the wall for the gear, for the shaft on the wrong side, because the gear shaft was on the outside of the clutch case. You touched that, you made a big crash. And Jim Lewis worked with Brock Glover to develop that 250. So he knew it inside out. And he tuned we had that running. That was a terrific little bike. Just very similar to what, if you've ever had the joy of riding a little EXC 200 KTM, and the engine is phenomenal. It's so smooth, and it was terrific. Yeah, and that's the one we blagged our way into Namur. It was quick. But even then, in the early days of the 4-strokes, the KTM engine, the 620 4-stroke, was a fabulous bike to ride. It was a big old lump, but the motor in that was terrific. I think they changed gear about 4 times in 1 year. You just stick it in second, and that was it. So, big old lump. There she is. Yeah, that's an oldie. Yeah. So they started life as sort of an enduro bike that was brackets were cut off, and it sort of converted to a motocrosser. But the engine was silky smooth. an American piston in it, I think called an Arias piston. And I kept the one bike for 2 years, kept one as a practice bike and went again with a new one. And I think that bike probably did about 150, probably 160 hours and never, ever changed a piston in it. It was a phenomenal bit of kit.
Oh,
yeah, I did all those local races on that. It was great fun.
What tracks were what sort of tracks, Russ, were your sort of favourite tracks in the UK, and then GP ones? And
yeah, so I loved Farley Castle. Obviously, I had some good results there. I got on the podium there at the Grand Prix in the support race in the Southern Forms and Cutters. I had a couple of good races there. I like Hawkstone as well. I didn't mind a bit of mud. I love Fox Hills. I got on the podium at Fox Hills for we had a 4-stroke support race, and I think it was for a 250 Grand Prix. And I got on the podium with that. I think Perry might have won it, and I think I was second. I remember getting up on the podium with either Vimond or someone like that and giving him a dead leg because he's a French bastard to get out of the way. But just joking, obviously. But yeah, that was Fox Hills was good there. But that was so I also rode at Fox Hills first time round before they graded those hills. So she was gnarly. And then when I went back, I thought, good God, yeah.
And they have you sort of you can see them on the other hills. It's got them ridges, isn't it, all the way up?
Yes. Yeah, that's how it
was.
You sort of make your way down them. Then they found someone brave enough to drive a bulldozer down them, and the track was changed. But of course, what my vivid memory of Fox Hills was Paul Cooper when he was leaping down. So there was one of the first downhills to go out round the back, up the diagonal, down, out round the back, and then there was a turn, a bit of a lip, and then down the hill. And he was coming out the turn, just going, wow, bop, and just going into orbit and meeting the hill probably halfway down. It was phenomenal to watch. Brave boy. It was great.
I think there's coverage on YouTube somewhere, and it shows you people going down the hill, and you see where he lands so heavy. It's like hand slipped off the side. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Not the place you want to do.
I think it was that same meeting where your man went off the jump, landed on the old Husaberg, snapped in half. Yeah. Snapped the forks clean off it. Yeah, that was quite interesting. The guy was all right, but it was a horrendous looking accident.
Yeah, but it's scary.
Yeah. Snapped clean through the steering head, I think. I think that's Hawkstone. That would have been a British Championship when the British Championship was sponsored by Camel. Yeah, those FM helmets. Yeah, good God. Look at the style. Robert. Yeah, that was all through Badger Goss. Yeah, that's one of my 4-strokes. The Win kit, that was through Gordon, that WRP.
Was that good, that bike?
What's that?
Was that bike good?
Yeah, very good. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, but it was the tail end of the Yamahas and that were already knocking at the door with the 400s and that then. It was normal conventional forks on that. See, they are 50 mil Marzocchis, conventionals. I think they weighed about £10 each one. They're diabolical. But they went up and down, so that's all you needed with that. Fantastic. Yeah, there's the old jalopy there. That's up at my track. Yeah. Yeah, it's a winter's day. This is Maury Dawes, it's the sponsor there. He helped me with some bikes, a privateer. Still involved in our club. Helps a lot of local riders. Just an enthusiast. Loves supporting people. He contacted me.
Do you have any race numbers, Russ, that you liked? I know a lot of it, obviously, back then you used to do that already, finishing the British Championship, things like that. But did you have any race numbers you did like or prefer? If you had a
goodness, I mean, number 4 was my lucky number. 28 was my first British Championship number. That sticks in my mind. I was number 2. I didn't enjoy being runner-up. I was the bridesmaid when I was second in the British Championship for the year. Got on the podium at every round, but I was bridesmaid to Perry Leask. So, you know, no one remembers who was runner-up. Everyone loves a winner. So I carried the number 2. That was quite a nice, great big number 2 on the front plate. I was quite proud. But of course, I'm only kidding myself because it was the British 4-stroke championship. It wasn't the British Championship. We'd already stepped back from the main event. So
Do you enjoy doing all that series and everything? Because that looked like good fun at the time.
Yeah, it was good fun. That's what it was all about. You know, if we won enough money to get a Chinese on the way home, we were happy. You know, pay for the entry, and that's how it was. Yeah.
Tony Hale, he was one of the boys that you were racing with at the reunion in April.
That's right. Yeah.
He's
he likes his riding. He's got a young lad who enjoys his racing. So yeah, they go out there, weekend warriors. They love their racing. Can't knock it.
Yes.
We practice the same religion. So as George Michael would say, but that's another story. So.
Perry's put, we love you, Russ.
We love you. Yeah, we love you too, Leesky. So.
Martin Neary put, remember 1990? You, Matt Bates, Wheeler, all the bright purple technique.
Blimey, yeah. Yeah, so the year I went out to California, I phoned the fellow who was importing that tackler stuff because we were riding for him. And I said, look, I'm going out to Cali. You got any decent kit or something different I can take? And he said, yeah, absolutely, definitely. I've got some brand new stuff that's come in. I'll send it to you. And you can wear it out there. Yeah, do a good job. So he did. He sent me like 3 or 4 sets of kit. And it was a stuff called Wild and Free. And it was basically sort of turquoise and white with all sort of tigers and leopards all over it. Like jungle animals. And I thought, Jesus Christ. I thought, well, here we go. So we went to California. The first day we go practicing, I get to meet Gunnar Healy. He's like, yeah, how's it going, man? He's a dude. And I'm like, Healy, you're a legend, mate. Yeah, nice to meet you. All the way from England. And he says, what the fuck is that kit you're wearing? I said, mate, this is the latest stuff from Tackler. I said, it's called Wild and Free. And he says, well, it's certainly wild. I only hope it's fucking free. Yes. I said, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Funny you say that, I'd literally just been speaking to Mike Healy the other day because I helped him selling this coat. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, like the Golden State coat thing he had.
Just take it up the charity shop, mate. Every save you fucking about.
I should have said that to him as well. I said, Russ said, what the fuck's that?
I can get a real job. Stop cutting people's hair. What's up with you?
Yes. Oh,
I went to the hairdressers the other day. He said you need your hair cut round the back. I said, what's wrong with the shop?
I need to write these down.
Right. He said, you need your hair cut badly. I said, I'd rather have it cut properly.
Who's that? Julian. Just see Julian Clark's wrote because I need to because they've not clicked on that link thing. I can't see her name, but I can see it on my phone. He's put, tell us how many forks you had to do for our joint 30th wedding anniversary dinner.
I know. Now this is an incredible story. I had no idea that. Obviously, I lost touch with Clarkey for a while because he was, I don't know what he was doing, sewing bags up in, I don't know what he was doing. But we got talking and we got chatting about this. They said, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, we got a special anniversary this year. My wife and I, she suffered me for 30 years. Oh, he said, it's my 30th wedding anniversary this year as well. I said, no way. I said, well, because of the championship and what have you, way back in the day, we didn't get married till the end of the year. So we got married on the 24th of October. And he's like, no way. It's the same day and the same year that him and Tracy got married. Couldn't believe it. So with that lovely romantic story, that then gave my wife carte blanche to shaft me something rotten up in the Shard for some mega fucking price dinner that I'm still getting over and have to have a lay down in a dark room. But we had a lovely time. It was great fun. One thing led to another, and we went up to the Shard. And it was lovely, and the girls had a wonderful time. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good fun. But out of pure coincidence, we both had no idea. So yeah, 30 years of marital bliss. And of course, my wife, she has been a long-suffering wife because we met on the racing scene. I rescued her from Birmingham many moons ago. Her dad used to be the chief marshal or the flag marshal up at Hawkstone, PG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And he's been to hundreds of meetings. In fact, Janie's probably one of the few women that have been to more motocross meetings than me, because she was going with her dad when she was a tiny tot. And we met way back in the, whenever it was, Christ knows how long, and started a long distance relationship. I'd go to the race meeting and she'd be there, and I'd say, "How you doing? What's your name?" Blah, blah, blah. And one thing led to another, and then she came down one weekend, and this, that, and the other, and we decided we'd make something of it. So, but for a while, she would come to all my meetings. This is dedication and this is desire. So if there's any girls listening who know what you've been doing wrong, this is how you do it. She used to finish work on a Friday night, leave her stuff in the locker, working for Barclays, get on the flights coach at Birmingham and get the flights coach down to Heathrow. They used to get into Heathrow at 10 to 11 on a Friday night. I'd be waiting for her, normally in my dad's Cosworth, pick her up, take her home, scare her to death on the way down the M4, you know, like 150 and all that, look at me, Jack the Biscuit, and then go home, stay at mum and dad's, get in the van, go racing all weekend, and then get up at 5 o'clock on Monday morning, get her back to Heathrow so she could get the coach back up to Birmingham, change in the toilet, and go to work at 8:30 in the morning. And that's how we lived. That's dedication. And that's why she's still my missus, because that's what she's made of.
Keeper and all that.
I know, incredible. And then we decided that she got a transfer down from to Crowthorne, not far from here, and we bought a little house together, and away we went. So that's why she's still my enduring wife.
Yes.
Plus, it cost me far too much to kick her out, so she's got to stay. So.
Maybe she's not watching.
She's been at the other side of the fence with the pit board and virtually all of our racing, and absolutely loves it. I wouldn't want it any different. And the only one time I felt really bad, we were at Portsmouth Ladies Mile back in the mid-90s, and she was pit boarding me. I come down the hill, 2 laps to go, whatever, and I come down the hill and there's no pit board. Now what's going on? Come around the next lot, no pit board. Finish the race, well pissed off. Get back to the van. What the fuck's going on? Where's Janie? Oh, she's at the St John's. Anyway, unbeknown to me, I've gone past her. A bike's gone past her. A rock the size of a football's come out, smacked her on the head, knocked her out, unconscious, and she got carted off by the St John's.
No way.
Like you do. So there's about a commitment. So she's laying in the tent with this great big egg, going, "Oh, I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry, dear." Oh, no. So I did forgive her on that occasion. But no, we've been very lucky. We've experienced highs and lows. She's also been with me when I've smashed myself to bits and been there to hold my hand. So,
what's the best thing that you remember she wrote on the board, and what was the worst thing she's ever wrote on the board?
Well, the best thing. She's put some classics on there. Breathe. She used to put breathe because I used to talk to her about breathe. You know, she put breathe. In fact, she does that when I'm in bed now. But yeah. So yeah. And there was also all sorts of bits. Secret coded messages. Gazelle. She put Gazelle because she'd seen Merv's missus put. He was this guy, this psychologist bloke, who'd compared the motocross bikes going over the jumps and bits like a gazelle would run through the jungle, through the. So you got to ride like a gazelle. So she'd put gazelle on the board just for the crack, stuff like that. Yeah. She'd put 40C on the board, which was that's if we'd won enough money for Chinese. My local Chinese, a crispy duck is 40C on the menu. So she'd put 40C, which meant we'd had enough money to get a takeaway. Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah, good codes on there. I like that.
Yeah, it's got to be done. One of the funniest things I remember, Mooey Motors, Mark Lovelock, who was spannering for Isaac, or Paul Hunt, that's Isaac Hunt. He came with me for a while. He was a good motivator, Mooey, but he was a bit of a nightmare. But he was a character, and I remember it was Hawkstone at the Grand Prix. I'd hit the start. We come out the gate, and I think I come around the first lap. I was about 5th or 6th or something, like thinking, Jesus Christ, here we go. We're on it. And as I come over the jump, round the turn by the pits, and it's set off going up the hill, I just head down like so, and I looked up, and Mooey, Mooey Motors was standing in the middle of the track with his shorts on, like these silk shorts, no top, holding the board out, and it just had "Stay Cool" on the board. And I was like thinking, fucking stay cool. Is he serious? Yeah, it was classic. Stay cool. And I thought, go on, Motors. Yeah. That was good fun.
True story, Tony. Tony there, look, behind every good man there's a great woman, so I hope she is watching for that bit.
Yeah. That ought to take a screenshot of that, because that'll get me dinner tonight.
Same.
Yeah, she's long enduring, but yeah, we've had some good times together, and it's been character building. Ellen came along, our daughter, and we just rolled with it. She used to come to the race meetings. It was great fun. All part.
How are you doing? How are you doing for time, Russ?
Mate, I've already missed football, so yeah, I'm fine. You tell me to shut up, I'll shut up.
Good. We'll have to do a part 2 as well, because I've not even got caught all the way through my questions. We'll have to do a part 2.
No problem.
It's been golden, mate. When I get this out there as well and everyone sees it, I'll say you can't miss this.
Yeah, no problem. We can do a part 2.
I nearly wet myself in the first minute to the last.
That's good. That's good. That's what it's all about.
Who was the biggest influence in your career, Russ?
Well, I'd have to say David Thorpe played a massive part in my the way I looked at my sport, because we were surrounded by superheroes, and there's a few out there at the time, people with attitude. You know, I read an article when I listened to Kurt Nichol, and I wish I could take to him, and I'm sure he loves me just as much as I love him. He says it was all a persona, that he was a show, he was an act that he was putting on. He had an attitude to throw out there when he was at the pointy end. But I can assure you, Jane and I drove through the night to a French meeting down the other side of Clermont-Ferrand. And when we got there in the morning, we were the only English riders there, apart from Kurt Nichol and his brother, and he wouldn't give me flu, mate. He just totally blanked me. And I thought, well, you know what? Fuck you. We're riding the same bikes. And I thought, what is it? It costs nothing to be polite. And I thought, what a very strange fella. Now, later on, he actually claims he's apologised for people for his attitude and that it was all part of it. And I'd love to believe him, and I'm going to forgive him, because I'm that type of person. I'm pacifist and live and let live. But they're now, and the reason I can forgive him is because Thorpe was a completely different person. Thorpe is as good as gold, and he's achieved so much more. I think if he can be like that, why does that bloke have to be like that? Like, we're over the old Dean, the beginning of the year, Thorpe said to me, how are you getting on with your deals? And I said, yeah, I've got some kit lined up and bits and pieces. I said, I need some helmets. And Thorpe says, I'll get you some helmets. You what? It's one of these. So he shows me this MDS. I said, they're nice. So yeah, they're nice. Put it on. Said, what size are you? 58. He said, yeah, I'll get you a couple of them. Give us your right. So I write in my address down, and I'm not lying. Like 4 days later, the bloke knocks on the door, and there's compliments of some lady, Lavinia, MDS in Italy, 2 brand new helmets. And he didn't have to do that. And Thorpe got me a deal. He got me a deal. And I rang him out. I said, Thorpe, you're a legend, mate. I've got 2 helmets. That's all right. You can have them. Anything else? I said, no, I'm fine. Just like that. And he did. And I thought, if he can be like that, that's how I need to be. So people refer to me as a legend. I don't know about it. But yeah, he's a man. He's a man.
A lot of the guys are enjoying it, that's for sure.
That's good. That's good. I haven't even told any jokes yet, so I'm doing quite well.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Daniel Bishop just put awesome. Everyone's saying legend, so
yeah,
it's got to be true, Russ.
I'm going to be stuck with that. Yeah.
Was there any tracks out there that you didn't like? Was there many tracks that you didn't get on with, or?
I wasn't a great fan of Golden Barn. I didn't like the layout. Didn't bother me. It was the stones and the hard. I wasn't much of a hard pack rider. The KTM didn't take too well to the hard pack when the places got hard. And although I should have liked it, I never really had much joy with Ling. That seemed to be a bit of a bogus track. I liked the conditions, but I never really took to it. I was always seemed to be unlucky there. But yeah, mainly the hard pack stuff. I mean, we've travelled them all. We've Boltby, same one, gnarly old place, stuff like that. There was a place down in Torquay with that red dust, that higher Rokem. Oh, rock hard. Most of the harder tracks. The softer going, yeah. Softer going, I didn't mind. But I think that was really down to the bike. I'm a comedian. Fantastic.
For a long time. Did you have any weird and wonderful superstitions of any type, Russ?
I do, yeah. I always used to wear. I used to have my race pants. I always wear big pants. 80 Porter shades. He referred to them as Victor Sylvester's, which is apparently plenty of ballroom. There was a fellow in the 50s or 60s, Victor Sylvester. So I always wear these big old pants, and I'd always tuck my t-shirt and my big pants. I always wore those. They were legendary. Yeah, for sure. Pretty much like all racers, you've got this idea that it's going to make a difference if you don't put the right pants on. I don't know.
Classic, isn't it? What track or venue's been the best atmosphere that you've ever raced in?
Ooh,
been a few.
Yeah, I think Namur was a pretty unique atmosphere, but it was a pretty unique event. But yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one because I've done the Thursday evening championship with Southern Motocross back in 84, 85, where there was like 20 people spectating, and it's like 0 people there, one bloke and his dog. And then that weekend you're off to Farley Castle. Farley always had a great atmosphere. Even when we did the one year they did the vets thing there and you were allowed to ride a modern bike, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was like coming home. That was good fun. Yeah, Fox Hill's got an amazing atmosphere, but it's difficult because we've only ever been to Fox Hills for the big meetings, you see. I'm sure if it was a centre meeting, it would be quite ordinary. Yeah. I went and did a triathlon at Dorney Lake where they had the Olympic rowing and it was on the TV and with the grandstands and everything. It was fabulous. Well, a couple of months later, I went and did a triathlon there, and it's just the gravel pit. It's just the flat pit that you swim in, you cycle round, and then you run round. And by the end of the event, you're bored shitless because there's nothing there. There's no atmosphere. And you think, well, hang on, what happened here? Because there's not 10,000 people there with all the flags and the banners and the music. And yes, there's a tricky one. Yeah. I did some supercross events. We did an event in Vienna that was in a velodrome. In the cycle thing, that was crazy, all on wooden boards. That was scary.
I saw that on YouTube once. Was that Healy? I see one of them.
Yeah, Healy was there as well. Yeah, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
That atmosphere. And then when the bikes they went down and went around the velodrome, like wow, the noise was phenomenal. Yeah, it's like bloody hell. Yeah, that was good fun.
It looked like some sketchy. It looked quite slippery and.
Well, yes, it was. Yeah, they were. The jumps were sort of made out of like big railway sleepers and stuff. That was a bit scary.
Yeah, hi Russ, it's Adrian Coyle here, Stuart's brother. Do you remember us climbing on top of your van at Weston to get your KTM flag? We woke you up and you still let us have it. True legend, lovely bloke.
Yeah,
that was a good.
Yeah, story. I remember it like it was yesterday. My wife woke me up and said, "There's someone on the roof of the van," and it was. I didn't know it was called his brother. I knew it was some of the Welsh boys. I knew it was some Welsh boys because all the sheep ran to the far corner of the field, so I knew it was the Welsh boys. Um, if the name Scott Gardner means anything to you, I had a venture out with Scott Gardner at Western, and we were walking down to the nightclub, and this bloke came around the corner in his car. We were just crossing the island, and I sort of knew Scott, but we'd only ever raced together. And the guy does this big wheel spin and parks up. Said, "What's your problem?" Like this local fella, boy racer. "What's your problem, mate?" He says to Scott Gardner, who's like, you wouldn't want to argue with him. With that, he just bends down, picks up this rock off the side of the road about this big, and just like goes to launch it on top of this bloke's car, and the bloke says, "I'll see you later," and drives off. Down it goes on the road behind him. I said, "What are you doing? We're going to get wrong. What are you doing, Scott?" Well, welcome to Western. I think that was the Thursday night, though. So.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I got. I'm trying to look at the numbers. Mick here's just put a story from your travels with Lee King, Russ.
Oh, Kingy, yeah.
Lee King, yeah. He was a tough.
Yeah, he was a good rider.
Remember him on 4 strokes.
Yeah, Kingy, yeah, rode the 4 strokes for many years, rode Husky. Yeah, he was quick. He was quick. He had his day. He used to have his moments. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Kingy. I remember crashing at Frome and tearing this elbow right open, right down to the bone, and getting back and washing all the dirt out of it in a bucket with Kingy standing over me. You in a funny colour. He didn't think much of that. He's like, "It's all right, mate." He's like, "No, I don't feel too good." I was like, "Don't look then." He's like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'll be all right."
So you were all gladiators then, that's for sure. Doing 40-minute photos. Oh, Duncan there. Any stories?
Yeah. Any stories about Pantiles? Well, Pantiles wouldn't mean it's a nightclub or was a nightclub. It's how the times change. It's now an old people's home, but it was a nightclub. Yeah, about 2 miles from the old Dean. So on the
regular.
Yeah. I can tell you about Pantiles because Thursday night was ladies' night. There wasn't any sexism in those days. There wasn't equal rights. If you got there before 10, you got in for free. And it was ladies' night. And it was always a nice class of young ladies up there. And then there was the motocross boys. So yeah, Thursday was like sort of the night out before the weekend. And Isaac, Paul Hunt, who actually lived with us for about a year, Isaac, we would get to about the Thursday afternoon, and he'd say, "Are we going out tonight?" And I'd like, "I don't know, really, mate. What do you think?" "Oh, I'll drive," he'd say. "Oh, I'll drive." And I think, "Oh, here we go. Now it's going to get messy, isn't it?" So we used to go to Pantiles on a Thursday night, and lo and behold, there are about 3 or 4 motocross boys in there as well. And we'd put a few laps in around the dance floor, a bit of loosening up, a bit of active recovery. And
any arm pump, Russ?
What's that, mate?
Any arm pump? Was there?
Not too much arm pump, no. It's more quad related, but yeah, we would. Yeah, so it was quite a good fun. There was always something happening at Pantiles. There wasn't never any trouble there. It was a bit dressy. You had to have shoes on. You weren't allowed in there with trainers. It wasn't rough. And there were some dollies in there, but yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, it was good. That would be our little break before you got your head down ready for the weekend. I don't mean getting like pissed up like kids go out now and get paralytic and think they've had a good time. No, we'd only drink 3 or 4 pints, and Isaac always drove home, which was quite amazing. We never got stopped or nicked, but and he was definitely pissed. But that was a long time ago. He's completely irresponsible now, and I wouldn't suggest anyone should do such a thing. Take an Uber nowadays, or do MDMA. Don't drink. Just stick to pills. So,
do you have many injuries, Russ?
I've had very, very many injuries, mate. Yes, I've had some horrendous injuries. That was one of the things that is part of the game. Yeah. But again, you just roll with it. I still have some metal in this hand. This hand got very badly smashed up. Both of these. Scaphoid, I've had my leg snapped for me. Yeah, I had some awful crashes. Some awful crashes. I don't want to paint a grey picture, but yeah, I knocked myself about. I've had both my shoulders done. Snapped a fin off in the back of my neck in the French Supercross and got airlifted home. Yeah, completely out of my league. Yeah, just we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about tits. We want to talk about an arse, not injuries.
How many tits do you know then, Russ?
Oh, there's hundreds of them.
What about asses? How many asses do you know?
Jesus Christ, mate. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Has there been any on tonight, Russ?
No, they're all genuine tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other sports you like watching, or we know obviously you've done some other bits. Any other sports you like watching, doing?
Well, I'm not a great spectator. I do like to partake. I watch the AMA. I watch the Supercross. I'm completely fascinated by those athletes. They're 10 or 12 years in front of us, probably more. I've been to a couple of those events, and those tracks are scary monsters. And those guys just go around like they're on rails, and they don't make mistakes. I like a bit of freestyle. I can take that, not all night long. I don't want to be at a freestyle event when someone hurts themselves. It's inevitable. I think we're pushing the envelope with that one. But yeah, I like a bit of Supercross. I like a bit of MotoGP. We've been to a couple of MotoGPs. I like that scene there. That's great. I'm not too keen about being 250 yards from the circuit or watching it on the TV when they disappear. But I do like the atmosphere, the sound, the engineering, the technology that's all there. Yeah, I love all that. But I the school I'm at, they play lacrosse. It's okay. They play basketball. They're into that. It's an American school. They play to win. It's a spirit that they have. We don't do things like that in the UK schools. We partake merely to compete. But at my school, they hold a lot of basketball championships. That's very good end-to-end stuff. Yeah, I don't mind it. I
was saying this to someone the other day. I've got a few pictures in the TMX and stuff like that, and I thought in the 90s it was super cool doing like one-leggers and one-handers, and then did we ever think they would be doing like double backflips and
all backflip? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely insane, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It has moved on, and we need to realise that it is a different discipline now.
Oh yeah,
it's scary monsters, phenomenal. That Billy Bolt fella. If you watch any of the stuff he does, how does he do that?
Yeah, no.
How does he do that?
Good fun as well. He seems online. From what I've seen of him.
Tony
Hale, Julian Clark is a tit, and Kurt Nichol is an ass by the sounds of it.
All right. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, no, Clark is more of a 38 double D than a singular tit. Yeah. Lovely.
Martin's just put, you must go to the Isle of Man, TT Russ, my favourite thing on the planet Earth.
Yeah, them blokes are scary. I've not been to the island. My wife's been to the island. It's scary. It's scary beyond belief. The most ridiculous thing is those road race blokes think the off-roaders are mad. I can't work that. I know. How can you? I said, no, mate, I can assure you, you blokes are completely mental. Yeah.
Literally a few guys die every time they go over there, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Absolutely crazy, man.
Yes, they do. There's no room for error there. No, you don't just drop it off at the corner and pick it up and jump back on it there.
Yeah, I remember there was a top BSMA schoolboy rider, Cole Harris, that I remember racing with, and all that. He got killed there as well.
Dear.
Mental, absolutely crazy.
Yes.
Who was your closest friends in and around the paddock over the years when you were racing them, Russ? Was it all good on the track when once the gate dropped and all that, the bullshit stops and all that? Was there no issues with friends and stuff, close friends and that on the track? And
no, we'd give someone a nod. There was a couple of regulars, but in the pointy end years, I went there racing. I didn't really have any friends. We do obviously a couple of teammates, but even that, you went there to go racing, and you learn. You were learning every week. It wasn't until in the later years and the camaraderie came about, really. Or if you do, a lot of the lads who do the French internationals, you would get to know them. And Perry did a lot of French meetings. He used to spend quite a bit of time. He'd bump into Lee Ski and sort of say, how's it going and that. But, you know, we weren't going out for Sunday lunch or anything like that. It wasn't that type of picture, you know. It was, and for sure, when you were out there, you know, there wasn't anybody say, oh, you know, you can go first because I know you. You know, it was you were out there racing.
Do you have any regrets of any bikes you rode, or any possible other bikes you could have rode, or any regrets like that? A few decisions made in your way.
Yeah, the hindsight's a wonderful thing. I stuck with KTM. Gordon looked after me. We had a bit of a sniff at a Kawasaki deal, but it would have been a 1 year deal only. It would have been to do GPs. I knew I wasn't making the numbers up, but I knew I would struggle. It meant going to another level, and we had to think hard about that. And the KTM job was almost like a family riding for Gordon and Jennifer. I enjoyed riding for Gordon, and Gordon looked after me. I didn't really want for anything. There wasn't any money about in those days. We had products coming out of our ear holes, and if we could sell it and make a bit of money, so be it. But it wasn't any big money like there is now, if that big money is about. So yeah, I remained loyal, and I think that was probably the right thing to do. Gordon Jones was a very dry, humoured, a very generous fella, a smashing fella, and it really did break my heart when he passed away. Along with my dad. In fact, one of the worst things was seeing my dad so upset because he was really close to him. But the legend lives on, and yeah, we didn't want for anything. So, and I don't think the little 250 KTM was a bit steady, but the 500 was a good bike. Yeah, 500 was good. I don't think I have any regrets really. And if I do, it's too fucking late anyway. So. I do have one regret about that blackbird that I saw at Pantos, but that's another story. So, and if they find the body, they'll just deny it. So, she was asking for it.
Martin Bateson just put, Lee asked Rusk about the barbed wire fence jump with 4.
Oh yeah. So at the back of that old Dean I keep referring to, Camberley, there was a like a piece of land that belonged to the water board, and it was fenced off by a barbed wire fence, and a bit like the Great Escape, you'd jump over the barbed wire like you do. But what was even more sort of memory jolting there was we were play jumping and play riding. There was this sort of 2-tiered grass bank, mowed grass bank, and we ride up to the top of it, or you could sort of double up onto the top of it. And Hunty, that Paul Hunt, Isaac, was riding a 125 Kajiva at the time. He had an immense amount of skill. He's a good lad, but he was gifted. He didn't know he was gifted, but he was gifted. And we were sparring around, and he said, watch this, see who can do this. And with that, it comes off the edge and goes right up on the front wheel like a stoppie, and goes down the slope, going on this little 125, all the way down the slope on the front wheel. I try that. And so I'll have some of that, and just the first grab of the brake, and over the bars we go. And I think David Watson was there, maybe Ansty, Thorpe. None of them would do it. Yeah. And Isaac was showing us how to do it. That was right by that bit of barbed wire. Crazy thing. That's probably why it got stopped, because he ruined it. But yeah, that was.
If you could re-race a meeting in your prime, what would it be, and what track would it be at?
Well, goodness, I would really like to have. I'd like to have another crack at a rip round Farley Castle, really. I know the British Championship went there a couple of years ago, and they slated it as being an old school track, and it was time to move on. And of course, they were right, because it was a natural track. But it was a great track, and there was a lot to it. And I loved that place. I'd like to have another go at that. Yeah. I did actually get on. I had a stroke of luck. I think Greg won the first race, and I was second. And this was the Southern Forms and Cutters. It was a support race to the 250 GP. I won I was second, and I think I was leading the second race, or whoever was leading it, and their chain snapped or something, and I ended up winning it. And I couldn't believe it because I was face down in a pool of sick on the Friday night, one at the nightclub. And the next thing was I was on the podium. Yeah, it was great. And I won a glass tankard with Southern Forms and Cars, and I can't find it. I was gonna show it to you. Yeah, because they sponsored Merv. They were an outfit that sponsored Mervyn Ansty. Just an individual who liked a bit of passion. But yeah, that was Farley. I liked Farley. Yeah.
Have you been to any of the vets? Did you go to any of the vets Farley that they've had?
Only the year they had the modern bikes there. I went to watch one year, but I don't make a very good spectator because I like to be involved. And of course, as soon as they went to so it shouldn't really be called vets. It should be called the Twin Shock or the Evo Championship because there's young lads. Scotty Elderfield was riding there, and stuff like that. It's young lads. It's not veterans at all. But so be it. It was a good event. I enjoyed it.
Did you go to the new Fox Hill one last year? Did you get there?
I didn't. No, I was actually on the River Thames with my wife and Julian Clark and his wife, consuming large amounts of Pims and encountering all sorts of interesting people up at Teddington Lock. Yeah, it was very, very pleasant. Nice. We booked this. It was good fun, and we toasted everyone who was at Fox Hills. Yeah. Proceeded to crash into several people in a plastic boat. Yeah, has to be done.
Probably trying to race it as well.
Yeah, dear, oh dear, yeah. We couldn't find where the cutout was on the Honda. So
this is not an easy one to answer, but who would you consider as the three best riders that you've ever competed against? Ever.
The three best riders who
you've ever competed against?
Oh, good God.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Well, I would say probably I would say Brock Glover of all time. Obviously Thorpe and that we just roll with that because we all competed against him. But Glover and Joe Bay and Rocket Rex Staten stumbled across him in California. He was quick. But Glover I rode in a Supermoto down at Lyd many moons ago. They had a one-off thing. And Glover, we hosted Glover in our truck. I was riding my 500. He was riding his factory 500. And I got to meet that fella. I actually went out to dinner with him that night. And he was in my race. So yeah, he was pretty much an iconic fella. Athlete. Complete athlete. That's right. He was, complete athlete. Yeah. 100% dedicated. Boring as fuck, but a nice bloke. I'm only joking, bro.
I was just about to say, I said Adam Winslet done an interview with him. I remember that.
Yeah.
You said that. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so he had a factory 500 KTM with all the road race tyres and the big discs and everything. And I had a 500 KTM with road bike tyres on. But what he didn't know was my KTM had the engine of the Millard's 580 sidecar engine in it. And that thing was phenomenally quick. It was outrageous. And so we're 2 or 3 laps into practice. We go down the main straight and I just go steaming past Brock Glover on this 580. So when we got in, he's like straight over looking around. He says, I want to ride that bike. I said, what are you on about? He said, I want to ride it. So he took my bike. We just swapped panels and he went out in the next practice. And he came back to the van. It was myself, Jim Lewis and Gordon Jones, my dad, and he took his goggles off like that and he went, that bike is fast. I said, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a 580. It's a sidecar engine. He's like, Jesus Christ. And because he was the top man of the meeting, he then set to and they swapped everything over onto his bike, from his bike onto mine. So he had all the factory kit and the 580 motor. And my dad, he said, is he sure he don't want anything else changed? He'd had enough of him because he was changing this, changing that, and he still got his ass kicked. But there was a lot of top riders there, Billy Lyles and Joe Bay, Van Dorn, Serge Pidot, lots of fellas, supermoto fellas who come from France. And it was the first time I'd ever seen, like that Billy Lars was on a Kawasaki. He had an incredible skill, and he was coming down the hill on the tarmac and backing it in, like the back was right round, like a speedway bike. And then as it went round the apex, it went from backing it into wheel spinning and opening it up and going out. So it was like in one fluid move, it like and off up the hill, feet up, opposite lock. It's phenomenal skill.
He's a cool guy as well. I've actually done 2 with him. I've really enjoyed that with Billy Miles.
Yeah, he could ride a
Yeah, he's a good rider, isn't
he? Yeah, he could ride a motorbike.
He could definitely ride that. Martin put, Russ, remember the Maybug Trophy, 1991 at Farley. Day before was the Fox Hills International race with Joe Bay, etc.
Blimey. Yeah.
Maybug Trophy.
Yeah, that was an oldie. It was lots of those national races have gone by the wayside now. The Cotswold National, all of them, Nymphsfield and all them things. And I won a race down at Portsmouth, the Carge Bournebush thing, some very old established trophy that they don't run anymore. I won the Cambridge Grand National I got the big trophy, the Mike Whedon thing, because I was riding a 250 with tons of names on it, Bickers and Horsefield and all them names on it. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, bloody hell, like real legends. And then I'm on it now. So, but yeah, great big, didn't even know I'd won it. The guy said, oh, you were the first 250 home, this is yours. And give me this trophy, like the thing about the size of a dustbin lid. Couldn't believe it. Steeped in history. Yeah. They've all gone by the way now, those events. It's terribly sad.
Anything like that, is it? I think they're still trying to carry on with the patch quickly, but past that, can't really think of too many.
Yeah. I've been talking for nearly 3 hours, mate.
I know, mate. Mental, eh?
You just shut me up.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely. You've been awesome. I'll give you, I'm going to ask you one more thing before we go, and then we'll definitely be able to do a part 2 for sure.
Okay.
What do you think about the electric bikes then that you've, I see, I think it's Zeb Tortelli's doing a Stark bike, promoting it as it were and riding it and stuff. What do you think of them then? Have you ever got to have a go on one of them? Do you want to have a go on one of them?
Oh, it is the future. We can't deny that. We can't shy away from it. I don't know if it'll be in my future, but yeah, I've ridden one. I rode one a couple of years ago. I think called a 09. They're fast, quite slim. The only thing you can hear is the chain rattling when you're riding it. It's quite off-putting. But yeah, definitely the way to go. We get quite a few up my track. There's a couple up there the weekend. And the one little lad, if you were fortunate enough to watch the arena cross, the little lad who won the e-bike class, his dad comes up there with his little lad on it. So he's only local, and obviously it's our track that has made him good. So it's entirely down to us. So we're going to take full responsibility for that. But yeah, they're great. They're great. The other thing, being sensible, it opens up a whole new possibilities of where you can run motocross, because there's no noise. So you could go to the town centre and have a bit of a motocross in the shopping centre, in the shopping mall. So who knows?
Yeah, it will be the future.
But I'm sure the ACU will do what they've always done and stifle whatever's going to be good, and we'll all end up wondering what on earth went wrong. So I'm not bitter.
Without no comment.
Just joking now, but.
Well, I appreciate your time, mate. That has really enjoyed that. That was so funny. That's without doubt.
No problem.
Having good information and funny as well
that's what it's all about. I hope I've made somebody's evening, and that most people who are watching are still awake.
Yeah, we've got to get this out there and share it around so that people are going to love this. We're going to definitely have to see it, and we'll definitely do a part 2 as well. Maybe after reunion or something would be good.
Okay, definitely.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Maybe we should have a bit of a stand-up do at the reunion too, in a beer tent. Perhaps I could do a stand-up.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd have to vet the audience and make sure that it was suitable. Because don't want to offend anybody. So.
That'd be great. We should do that. One year, the first year, we were supposed to. I was going to do. I thought it'd be funny if we go. Everyone gets up on the mic, does their own, motocross noise that you see people interpreting and stuff like that. And we had some champagne and that we was going to give out. And we didn't end up doing it in the end. Everyone was just too pissed and didn't care.
Shame.
Well, the boys are all much appreciated. Everyone come on. Look, Russ off to bed now. That was brilliant evening. Part 2 at Whiteway. Take care. Brilliant. Mick, brilliant. Jim Brookman. Liam Russ, been an awesome evening. Perry, well done. Great interview. Everyone's enjoyed it. We'll get it out there. People enjoy that for sure.
I look forward to seeing my friend Leon's coming down, my big buddy and brother. Leon Haxton's coming down the weekend. We're going to reminisce about motorcycles for at least 5 minutes, and then we're going to get on it. So, got to be done.
It'd be great, mate. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. It's going to looking good. And like you said, loads of guys that you used to race with. Loads of them all coming down. Sounds like the crazy gang is going to be there as well. That you were at your 4-piece ride day. They're all going to be there as well.
Brilliant.
So can't wait, mate.
It'll be good fun. That's what
I think Greg's racing now as well.
That's good. Let's get him out there. Yeah.
Can't be like reading off a British Championship list out there on the track. That'd be unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Mate, thanks very much for your time, Russ. Really appreciate it, mate. You're great.
No trouble.
Great. Really appreciate it.
Good to see you. Stay cool.
Mate. Take it easy, buddy. All the best.
Appreciate your enthusiasm, mate. It's brilliant.
Thanks, mate.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Brilliant.
I'll see you soon.
Mate. Yo, bye now. Bye.
What a legend. Cheers, mate. What a legend. Russ the man. What a legend. Oh, I've never laughed so much. Why did I stay away from these interviews for 4 or 5 months? That's brilliant. I thought it was going to be a good one with Russ. I had a good chat with him at Reunion 2 at Culham last year, and you see the picture of us. We had a drink together and had a good chat. And he's just reeling off stories there, and I thought that would be a sick interview. And I did ask him a few times, but eventually got him on. But by the way, there's a few you guys I've got to get on, including you, Perry. Got to get you on, buddy. Quite a lot of the guys that are on tonight. Andy Nichols. We'll have to do one with Julian Clark as well. Quite a few of you boys. Gonna have to do a live with Greg as well. I did an interview with Greg Hansen quite a while back when I was doing the Skype ones a couple of years ago. But now you're on the live ones, it'll be even good. So hopefully I can get Greg on live as well. Cheers, Duncan. Thank you, Martin. Yeah, thanks for all coming on. We had a good night, haven't we? Mouth, my jaw's aching. Exactly that. Who needs Netflix? Oh, brilliant. I got to share this out there. So when tomorrow I'll get the recording out and share it. It's just off my YouTube channel. It just saves onto there, and I'll share it about. So any of you guys, I'll put it on my own Facebook and the Motocross Spear Memories page and stuff like that. And yeah, if you guys share it as well, we can get it out there. The more we can get it out there, the more people can have a good time watching that. They might have to watch it in stages, maybe an hour at a time. 3 hours of madness. Thanks, Martin. Thanks for coming on, buddy, and thanks for showing us the old camel bib that you had of Russ. He was chuffed with that, wasn't he, when he seen that? That'd be cool to bring that down, have a couple of pictures with him with it, and get him to sign it, and that'd be cool. Yes, exactly, Jim. I'm glad to hear that you're all right now, buddy, as well. Glad you're all right. Hope to see as many of you guys down at the reunion as well. Sounds like the beer tent's going to be interesting, eh? More worried about seeing them all still in there on Sunday. Sorry, Monday. Probably Monday as well. It's a bank holiday Monday as well, and it's all going to be open. The beer tent and all that will be still open on the Sunday night, and that for people that want to stay Sunday night, because it's a bank holiday Monday. All the catering stuff will still be there and stuff like that. So they're going to be set up on the Thursday, so they'll be there ready for everyone who turns up on the Friday. Obviously, I'll put out all the times of when the track's opening on Friday. There'll be some signing on and all that during the day, Friday and into the evening, I think. And then early Saturday morning signing on as well. Yeah, it should be a great weekend of racing. 2 sessions of legends per day. Like you said, I have put the names out there. Look at that, getting me. I could probably read it out because I'm sad. But yeah, it's going to be great to see some of these guys. We haven't seen them on bikes for ages and things like that. So it's going to be cool to see these boys out there. That's right. So Speedway guys, got Andy Graham, 1982 British champion. Bradley Wilson Dean, the New Zealand Speedway champion. He's coming to race and ride. Some BSMA legends will be there as well. Dean Batchelor, Stephen Holmes, Steve Liddington, Danny Smythe, another BSMA champion, Cole Balfield, who did the Speedway and the Motocross. And then we got all the British Championship and GP legends as well. We've got Craig Prattley will be there on the Castro Honda again. Rob Andrews is coming, Dave Watson, Ricky Prix, Russ Jarman, Julian Clark, Greg Hansen, Dan Beamish, Perry Leask, Jeff Perrett, Julian Rawson, Matt Gordon, Graham Noyce, Dave Higgs, Phil Roberts, and where's that gone? Yeah, Eddie McCarthy's going to be there. It should be, yeah, it's going to be great. Probably be getting a few more Speedway guys to come yet as well, but working on that one. No problem, Mick. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're good. Not sure who that is, but thank you very much. It's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? This bloody, yeah, it's this privacy thing on there. That's why it comes up like that, Facebook user. And if you've got it on there properly, look, it comes up with your profile. So basically, to cut a long story short, is obviously the first thing people do as soon as they see the interview, they just go straight into the video, which makes sense. But you actually have to press the link on the post to give your Facebook permission to use your profile. Basically, that's basically what it's down to. You have to do that every time, I think, before you come in. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass, really, but that's why I need to get my phone out. And then, but then I've obviously got in front of me, I've got all my questions that I've got. But obviously I ask the fans questions and all the riders and whatever come on if they've got the same questions as me. But then I'm sort of trying to cut between doing that, listening and interacting, seeing your comments and looking at my questions. And then now I try to go back onto the Facebook and everything to see who actually it is when it says Facebook user. So yeah, trying to be like a chick doing about 6 things at once. Don't come easy to us, does it? But anyway, that was brilliant. Awesome night. Got the old boy with me again, look. Bless him. David Ashby, Swin and Robbins. There he is. And I always leave it on this note. He always used to give me this quote. In his last few years, he used to say this: it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. We'll leave it on that. Beautiful. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll be back again tomorrow night. We're going, I haven't been on here for 5 months and we're going for 3 on the trot. Did an amazing one with former world champion Jano Pedersen last night. It was really cool. And then obviously you had a brilliant time tonight. What a laugh. Mental. With Russ Jarman. And then tomorrow night I'm with a British Speedway legend tomorrow night in Dougie Wire. So it'll be 7 PM UK time start again tomorrow night. And then I'll get cracking on organising what I'm doing for next week. Going to keep them going. So good to see you all. Thank you very much for everyone, and ciao. Good night and God bless. Cheers.